welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Geekery. We've got a couple of guests that are going to be joining us soon, but I figure I'll just get on and discuss some of the events of the week and see whoever is in the chat can lead me to some subjects. We got Steve Mitchum out there saying, "Yeah, I did make it out of the woods. I was camping this weekend, survived with little internet and no YouTube. It's actually kind of nice to be out in the woods and just relax and enjoy nature, especially at night. It's you're just in the woods with nothing going on. It's actually pretty refreshing. So it sounds corny, but it's it's a nice change. And although you miss hanging out with people on YouTube and all the electronic devices, it's a nice switch up. So Steve Mitchum, I guess, said his hamster is trying to get his computer to wake up, so he'll be joining us. He'll be joining us shortly, and Clobberin Times will be here too. He's on Doomcock's channel right now, and then I guess he'll be headed this way. So just wanted to let you guys know I've had some new videos out too. I started a new series called Enabling, where I try to get people to spend money. So I've had the first video on that series, and covered some of the Migos that Topps is selling on their website. I guess there's a collaboration there. So I think let's check. I think there's one more day left on that. Let me go to that Topps Migo website and see how that's. I think one more day where you can purchase those. Let's share my screen here on that. So if you didn't catch that video, hey Aaron, how's it going? Yep. If you want to hop on in, I think you've got the link. Just hanging out and relaxing on a Sunday night. I think there's a big football game, some kind of big sports ball game tonight might be happening. But yeah, here's the Topps Migo. Yep. So you got 14 hours to spend your hard-earned dollars. So you can get this guy for $20, I guess, plus shipping. I don't know what the shipping is, probably around $10 each. But yeah, that's Brent from Beneath the Planet of the Apes, if you remember. That's the movie where they were worshiping the underground nuclear missile as a god. So it's a crazy movie. And Heston didn't really want to be in the movie. I guess so one of the conditions was they filmed him. He did like 20 minutes of the movie and he wanted to be killed off. Hey, we got Pat S here. Hey, Pat S, how's it going?
Yo, that's a cool one. Yeah, wasn't Heston in that movie for like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
He phases through and he leaves his girlfriend behind after he.
Yep. Yeah, it's I haven't seen it in a bunch of years. I did buy the Blu-ray set. I should rewatch it, and it's pretty weird movie. And the end is pretty spoilers. It doesn't end well. So
it's not a happy ending like the other ones. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy twist, but I kind of like a movie like that it takes a risk like that. So
I liked all those movies. I like the I'm one of those weirdos, kind of like Clobby. I like the TV series a lot. I remember I didn't watch it. Obviously, yeah. The first time it came out, I obviously didn't watch it because I must have been either like an infant or not even born yet when that first came out. But we had a really good UHF station down in here in New Orleans, and they showed all that stuff like over and over again. So that's where I watched all those shows. People are like, "How did you see all the Rockford Files? Those came out like when you were 2 years old." I'm like, "Well, I had a station that showed it for 5 years down here." New Orleans had I saw all the old mashes. They used to come on after the news, and they ran those shows until the 90s, into the late 90s. So
wow.
Yeah.
I caught. Yeah, I must have seen the Planet of the Apes. Wasn't it a Saturday morning series? I mean, I know they had a cartoon, and then they did have the live action.
Had one, but no, I think it was an actual like on CBS or ABC. Yeah.
Oh, was it at night? I mean, I remember watching. I have the DVDs, but
I can tell you
this.
It was
a good series, yeah. And then I think they were going to do a couple more episodes, and they never did. Let's Google that. Yeah, Planet of the Apes TV series.
I think it was a Friday or Saturday night show.
Yeah, so it was a prime time. Yeah, the cartoon obviously would have been on during Saturday morning, right?
Yeah.
So let's see here. I wonder if they'll tell us when that was on. Let's see. Yeah, so different, obviously different cast. Yep. And Hales Axe. Yep. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. Well, Zayas is there? Zayas. Let's see. So there's the cast. Yeah, so I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Well, of course they had Roddy McDowell. So that was
Mark Lenard was on there as Urko. Yep. So let's see. No, I wonder when that aired. Yep. So they only did.
Oh yeah, 74.
13 episodes, 14, right?
Yeah, I was born in the summer of '76, so that was before my time.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just trying to skim through this quickly, but let's see. Yeah, it's expensive show. Yeah, $250,000 an episode. Yep. Of course, back then, yeah. I don't know if that's cheaper, expensive. All relative, I guess. Yep. I thought they did Star Trek for less, but let's see. Does it tell us when it was? Maybe someone in the chat knows when it aired.
I'll tell you what, Mark. Go back to the date. I'll look it up on the calendar.
Oh yeah, you can look it up. Yep. So you can see like the first show, September 13th, 1974. Yep. So I would have been about 6 years old. Yep. But those story was such a scary story too. So as a kid, you're freaks you. That kind of freaks you out.
Did your parents pretty much let you watch whatever you wanted when you were a kid?
Almost, but I remember there was a big fight with my mom. I couldn't watch The Incredible Hulk for some reason. She thought that would be really scary or something. And when was the Hulk on? That was 77 or 78?
Yeah, it was. I
would have been older 70s. Too. I would have been about 10. Yeah. So for some reason, we got Maddie's daddy trying to connect, but it's his device. He's trying to get in.
It is a Friday the 13th.
Okay, Friday the 13th. Yep. So wasn't Saturday morning cartoons. Yep. So but I remember it being a pretty decent series. So
yeah,
just, it's been
I remember, Mark, before I was a teenager, Friday nights when I was a teen was really like go to the mall. Like I remember going home and like hopping in the shower, you get your newest polo shirt out and wear it, because I grew up with a bunch of preppy kids. So
yeah,
I had to wear things like duck head,
Docksiders.
Yeah, and boat shoes and stuff like that. Where I grew up, and members only jackets, those kind of things. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I went to an all boys Catholic high school, and we didn't wear a uniform, which was a real get, right? Because I never wore a uniform. I didn't want to wear a uniform.
Steve's back now. Here, hey, Maddie's daddy.
There's Steve.
You made it. How's the computer doing? Hamsters are running. I don't know if you can hear us yet. He was updating his computer.
Greetings.
So. Hey.
Hola, Steve.
¿Cómo estás?
Steve, what city did you go to high school in?
Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Well, unless Steve went to Baton Rouge Catholic, he definitely went to high school with girls then.
Oh, did I? Yes.
Famous last words.
I did.
Hey, Matthew Ponder. Hail.
Southern women.
I went to Catholic school too until high school.
Hail, Matthew.
Right.
We had girls. Yep.
Hail, Punk Waddle.
Do they even have any all boys or all girls schools up there, Mark? Was that even a thing?
They do. No, they do. Yep, they still do. Yep. So
generally, if you're educated by an order, like mine was the Christian Brothers, but you had the Jesuits, the Ursuline nuns, educated the girls, the Marianites educated girls. It's actually still mostly like that. There's only one co-ed Catholic school.
And there's also they're not religious schools, but they're like private schools that are
absolutely. Actually, we have an all boys charter school in New Orleans. That's a public school, but it's run by guys who run like they get the guys into trades. I support the school a lot. Yeah. I think it's a great idea. They have these kids at 15, 16 years old learning how to do electrical work and plumbing and stuff and all.
That's
and
great.
They get out of that school, go to a real trade school. By the time they're 19 years old, they're making $40,000 a year.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't beat that. Yeah, You want to get somebody out of poverty, dude? You teach them a trade like that. That'll get you out of poverty awful quick.
No, that's definitely No, I'm a big supporter of trade schools too, because my day job is
I cannot
manufacturing.
Hear
so you can't hear me. Can I assume Pat can hear me, right, Pat?
I can hear you, Mark. Yes, Steve, can you hear me?
Pat, do you hear Mark?
Yeah, buddy, I do. Do you hear me?
I don't hear either one of you.
Oh shoot.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, now I do. Yes, I hear you, but I don't hear Mark.
I've been saying some really fantastic things. It's horrible you missed it. No, I can't.
My
so I don't know. Maybe Steve, if you want
to updates, though, so
maybe it's the Windows update.
I hear Pat loud and clear. I just don't hear Mark.
That's weird, Steve.
Because if Pat could hear me, then you should be able to hear.
That's
Mark.
I mean,
don't say that about Steve. What is Mark? Come on, dude. God, Steve's tearing you up. How are you doing that without even moving your lips? That's awesome, Mark. Mark's doing his voice thing that he learned in the Scouts, Steve.
Yeah. Punkwell says I hear everyone.
Mark, no problem.
Yeah, I don't know much sign language, but maybe Steve pop out. Pat Translate, maybe have Steve pop out.
So
and pop
oh
back
yeah,
in.
that's on. Steve, do you think you should hop out and hop back in case it's
the StreamYards?
Your stream, as case it's the StreamYards and not yours. Well, Mark said he'll hold your spot. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. For $5.
Check my audio settings here while I'm.
Yeah, check those. Yeah, check on StreamYard. And of course, you can't hear me.
Automatically adjust the volume.
Mark, I'm going to keep talking to Steve.
Yeah, so kids can hear.
He at least has something to compare a sound to. Is it hard taking the kids out, the Scouts out on overnights now that it's co-ed?
Well, no, the overnights are not co-ed. So yeah, okay. no one get any ideas there. Yeah. So the troops are actually separate. So there's a girls' troop and a boys' troop, and they have to have separate campsites.
Yeah.
If your unit is co-ed, now not all units are co-ed, but so that would be that would get real popular. I could see my son when he was doing it. Yeah, Dad, do you mind if my girlfriend joins the troop?
Yeah, I was wondering how do they get it? Like at my church, Mark, they still have. Like the Scouts are still all boys, and the Girl Scouts are still all girls. And I think what they do is they just go, well, that's how the parents want it. They could join whatever they want, but well, actually, no, I don't think boys could join Girl Scouts. But
no, so what happened? Yeah, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts are totally separate organizations. So when that happened, a lot of people thought, oh, they're the same, same group. But they're not. They're totally separate groups. So I don't think the girl. I'm not. I'm speculating, but I'm assuming the Girl Scouts weren't happy that the Boy Scouts then went co-ed.
Oh no! I have a friend of mine. Actually, she was my CYO director. Steve, can you hear Mark yet?
No, but I can read his lips, so it's fine. He's talking about.
No, I was saying that the lady that was actually our CYO director. She has been a big supporter of Girl Scouts. Her husband's very wealthy. He was a doctor. He passed away about 10 years ago, but she does not like it at all. She said when that happened, the Girl Scout camp she supports, she's like one of like 3 people who basically donate 80% of the money to run that camp for the girls. Yep. I think it's in New Hampshire, something like that. She said their numbers dropped by almost 30% in the first 2 years. And she's not happy. She thinks ultimately it's going to kill the Girl Scouts because, like she said, her biggest thing that she's fought all of her life is when the girls hit about 10 or 11. It just becomes such an uncool thing to do. It's one thing when you're a brownie and you're running around and doing that kind of stuff, but once you hit middle school, she says it's a big fight to keep kids in. And she says now all the ones that are hard, what you would consider hardcore, right? Like people who just love scouting, they love the idea of it and everything. They're going to gravitate to what was the Boy Scouts at one time. They want to be Eagle Scouts. They want to be, and she thinks it's going to be the demise of the Girl Scouts one day. She really does.
Well, I've said that for a long time. I always thought that the Boy Scouts, the Eagle Scout Award has a ton of prestige. And then could you tell me what the highest honor in Girl Scouting is? So most people don't know it as, Gold Scout. So, which is not fair, I think, to the girls because they do a ton of work and put a lot of effort in and should have the same prestige. So I think now also the programs are vastly different. So Boy Scouts is more focused on camping in the outdoors and the wilderness,
right?
Versus Girl Scouting, which a lot of people say, oh, they just sell cookies, which isn't true, but it's also more. It's a different skill set and program where it's something kind of a different animal. So and the training is like. There's different, it's the way they'll organize. And I have some friends that do Girl Scouts, and they were saying the training is set up differently, and to go on a camp out's not as easy, and certain things. So I think and what happens too, I think a lot of times you've got a lot of kids that were in Cub Scouts, and their sisters would be there, and they'd be hanging out, and now they'll just they can either pick one or the other. But now, say the boy is doing Cub Scouts, well now the girl can do it too, so they can both join the same organization basically.
Right.
And parents don't have to go to two different places. So,
did you make Eagle?
I made Eagle. Yep.
What about your boy?
My oldest did. The second one we won't mention. He made it to Life Scout.
Oh, the one that's dead to you, yeah.
Just kidding. If he's definitely not watching. I'm sure he's watching sports ball right now. But I'm just kidding. Yep. But Punk Waddle was saying that then the Scouts used to have a co-ed division. Yeah, they had explorers for older Scouts. So those would be affiliated with like police explorers or EMTs, sometimes with Marine division. There was like a Marine unit or thing in terms of like Coast Guard, different affiliations. They're like Sea Scouts is another separate group, but they had the Boy Scout Explorer group. So that was something that you could do, separate from. Well, it's with part of scouting, and now you can earn the Eagle Scout through the Explorer program. This is in the weeds for people, but now before you couldn't. It was like a separate group. So I had a lot of friends that did that too. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Did you scout, Steve?
I was a Cub Scout, and I still feel funny saying this, but I was a Weeblo. What a terrible name, Weeblo.
Yeah, it is a horrible name. Yeah.
That's the worst name ever.
Did you wobble but not fall down when you were? Oh wait, sorry,
right? That's a Weeble, but it was pretty close.
Yeah. Hello, Kay. Great to see you.
I was in those things before either one of you gentlemen were born. Do they still have the soapbox derby?
Well, they call it the Pinewood Derby. That's for Cub Scouts.
Pinewood Derby.
Yep. Yeah. So that's popular, and they also have like a boat race now. They added like a little mini boats, like.
Well, there were two when I was a kid. One of the soapbox derby was basically go-karts that you would have to build yourself
and go into the car. Yeah, that must have been a different group or just like a private.
That was back when
area.
Maybe, I don't know. It was in Illinois when I was a little boy, but I'm sure it wouldn't be legal now. Because it was a bunch of kids in homemade go-karts.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Driving down the steepest hill you could find for a little ribbon,
Yeah, with no helmet.
And then we did the what's it called? The Pinewood
Derby. Yeah, that's when you build the small cars. Yep.
Yeah, I actually won that one.
I won that one too. Yep, I have my trophies up. Well, I can't see it, but my trophy's up over the left there. Yep.
Did you weight the nose of your car?
Well, you had to weigh 5 ounces.
Yeah, little lead weights, right? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And I also want to thank.
I'll grab my car here. Hold on. You keep talking.
The man who throws nothing away, Steve, is grabbing his car from when he was 7.
And you know what? Part of me wishes that I had thrown nothing away. There are comic books that I either throw away or gave away that I wish I had. I had early from the year you were born, The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, which was a big, it was bigger than your normal comic, and it was in black and white, and that was the introduction of at first it was stories about Bruce Lee, but then they also had the introduction of Iron Fist and Shang-Chi were in that. I wish I still had those, but when I was a Cub Scout, we had a neckerchief clasp making contest, and I won that too. But I won that because my father had more ambition for it than I did. I made a section of tree, and it was a woodpecker on a spring that would hold the nose would hold the thing in place. Now my dad painted it, did half the work. He didn't do all the work. That's
right.
Yeah, that's why I won. So
I thought you were going to tell me like you smelted your own metal and made it out of brass and bronze.
Yeah, yeah, just me and the kiln and the anvil. Yeah, that was the inspiration for Iron Man.
I can do the Rocky thing, you know.
Wow.
So, yeah, don't throw anything out. Yep. So this was. Well, you can't really read it, but can you read it? First place.
Stolen.
Nice.
Please return to.
19. Oh, I can barely read it now. Pack 23, 1977. First place. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so here's the car. And then
Pat was 1 year
so
old.
I've had that car.
There we go.
Star Wars was out. And then my dad had, of course, he had a Bridgeport. So he made that. He cut the thing out, put the weight in there. And everyone's like, how did you do that so neatly? Neatly. Because most of the dads were like finance guys. But the car's gotten messed up through the years, the axle. So someday I gotta redo it. But so I have that on the shelf.
Wow, that's amazing.
Can you imagine Mark's wife when he was like, honey, we're going over to my folks' house. We got to pick up some of my stuff. And Mark's mom just had these boxes like full of his scout stuff. And Mark, here's your action figures.
We got to swing by U-Haul first to pick up a truck.
And Mark's dad's still in amazement that he married a girl. And it's like, oh, it's so wonderful.
You're not in the basement anymore. Yeah. So here's, you never know what we're going to talk about on Sunday night, but here's this car I did with my son. And he wanted a helicopter. So didn't really care about how fast it went. And people are complaining. They're like, well, those propeller things, the blades are going to set it off. I'm like, guys, this car is not going to go anywhere.
That's right. That is the most airily undying.
Well, it wasn't like, it wasn't calibrated or,
right.
And so I made it so you could fold the the blades up.
Did he win?
Like best in show for that one, I think. But it was fun. The kid, some of these parents, they go so wackadoodle about like having to win, which is fine. But it's not the kids doing it; it's the dad. So they did like an adult Pinewood Derby finally in our area. And then this is another car that won best in show.
Ironcaster said, "What are you guys talking about? Mark brought all that on his first date."
Yeah.
Oh, did you wear your Eagle Scout? Did you wear your Eagle Scout uniform to your wedding? Like how, how my dad wore his dress blues when he.
No, that doesn't qualify.
Mark knows how to win over the ladies.
Yeah. He said, "Hey, Maureen, have you seen my Darth Vader Pinewood Derby car that I made?"
What did she say when she saw all this stuff?
I released it gradually. I'm not that stupid, so it wasn't all at once.
Yeah,
it's just like morph. She's like, "You're taking over the house." So,
dude, she still doesn't know about the stuff in the basement. She thinks that's where all his tools are.
There's a crawl space she's never been in. So this is cool. So this is a 3D printed car. So you print the car and then you just cut the block of wood to fit. I didn't really do a great. I got to cut the angle down on the front, but it was just like a test thing to show, for fun.
Yeah, it looks
but the
cool
3D model is really nice. So I got to
reprint is pretty cool.
Because I had the model was too big for my old printer, so I had to print it in half and cut it in half and put dowel pins and everything. So, but yeah, it's the guy who did this. Steve would know this stuff, but the 3D model was a disaster though. The guy that did it had to have my friend who's the artist help me fix it, or a lot of things I gotta. Maybe I'll send it to you. You can tweak a few things for me. But
Mark, what was the rarest or most hard to get badge either you or one of your boys got?
Well, the hardest badge is probably life-saving, because the instructor sometimes, if he's really good, tries to drown you. So the way that my friend helped to pass the life-saving test was he kicked the guy really hard in the balls, and he didn't have much energy after that to go after us. But all joking aside, I mean, when someone's drowning, they're actually going to try to take you down with them. I mean, they got to
yeah.
The air. So they always warn you. You're like, oh, that's BS. You're like, no, it's not. Because think of it. If you're trying to get above water, you're just going to grab and pull. You're going to lose all rational thought most likely. If you're going under.
Right.
So the instructor would take you under and fight you, and for good reason. Of course, now I would I'd go under and not be able to get back up, but I'd be flailing. Yeah. So so my buddy, R.I.P. Rob, but he kicked the guy pretty hard in the balls, and that was. I mean, they tell you that's one of the techniques too. I mean, you subdue the person to to be able to rescue him. Of course, you always should throw something out, or of course everyone knows Baywatch.
Right.
They had those red floats, but you always want to throw something out so the person grabs that. Yeah.
When I first started teaching, they asked me like, "Oh, do you want to work the summer program?" And the summer program was you could do things like teach remedial skills and stuff. But I was 22, so they were like, "Hey, do you want to be the pool supervisor?" I said, "Well, I'm not a lifeguard." They're like, "You have to be a lifeguard. You just have to supervise the lifeguards." So you're in charge of a bunch of 15 and 16-year-olds. But I actually saw a little kid drowning. And this girl jumped in. She couldn't have been more than about 5'2". She's a sweet little girl, but she reached and grabbed that kid was fighting her. Right, he grabbed her by her hair and was trying to pull her down.
Yeah.
She flipped him around. You'd have been impressed, Steve. It looked like some kind of judo. And she put her arm around his neck and swam him back to the thing. And I was talking to her afterwards, and she's like, "No, that's a technique you learn because not only does it keep your head above water, but it subdues you, right? Because you can't grab anybody if you're facing the other way." And sure enough, she was right, because if I remember right, he was flailing into the other direction, right?
Yeah.
But he was just so happy he could breathe. And then when he got out, he started crying. So he was definitely drowning. He knew he was going down. And boy, she was quick, man. But that was the only incident we had that summer.
When Keely's asking, "Hail Keely chat, what's going on?" We started randomly talking about Planet of the Apes. Then we went to the scouting because I was camping this week. Then we went to the Pinewood Derby, and then we went to what was the toughest badge? I said life saving. So Pat was recounting a save at a lifeguard made at a pool. Yep.
Hail to Eric K. And actually, I have a story that may be amusing. It may be amusing. I don't know. When I was dating my wife, we went whitewater rafting with a group down the Colorado River, and we hit a rock called Fowler's Rock, and the thing flipped up on its side. And these things are like 8 feet wide or something. They're really.
Is it rubber raft or
rubber?
Or
yeah.
Canoe?
Yeah. There was like a dozen people in it, and so as the thing hit the rock and it tilted up, I looked up and saw my 5'9", the world's tallest Filipina, my wife, falling towards me at negative 9.7 meters per second
squared.
Yeah. And pushed me down deep into the water. And I was under the water, and she was on top of me trying to get up. So her feet were hitting me in the head, pushing me down. And when I came up just as I was not able to hold it any longer, and barely a fraction of a second more, and I'd have opened my mouth and drank all that water and died. We went and rescued her. We did not have life jackets. No, did we? Yes. Wait. I'm sorry. No. Yes, we did. But the water was ice cold. Because it comes down from the mountains. So yeah. It's basically 12 degrees, and we went around. Me and the kid. I say a kid. The kid on the raft that was leading the thing. He looked like he was 12, tall, skinny kid. And we went around, and I jumped in and pulled everybody else out. And I pulled this one. Her nickname was Flip. Her name was Philippa. And I pulled her out, and then we went to get my mother-in-law. And Flip's like, I'll pull you in. And I reached in and grabbed her, because Flip was like 98 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And then, so we're all finally in the boat. We get everybody back in the boat. We rescue people that are clinging to rocks and stuff. And we're all like, and I said, "This is the last time I'm going whitewater rafting. with a woman named Flip. and then the guy was talking about, okay, so next we're coming up on, he's like, rowing his thing, he's like, all right, next we're coming up on Dead Man's Falls. And I'm like, when do we get the Fuzzy Bunny Falls?
Dead Man's Falls. Yeah.
Lazy River.
Polly's Minions here, so hail Polly's Minion. Hope you had a good travels today, if you were. Yeah, and Pupper, yep. Hope you're doing well.
Safe. Yeah.
I remember, Pirates of the Caribbean, the first time on that ride at Disney. That is like an 8-year-old. That scared the crap out of me. That first, that dip that's only like 30 feet. So I can only imagine what a whitewater rafting is like when you hit something like that. But then years later, you go on it when you're older. You're like, I was kind of scared by that little dip, So, but I've done some rafting, but nothing, no big rapids like that. But was that a tour? That was like a guided tour, Steve, or
yeah, it was. It was some charity thing they do every year, and
but you had like someone operating the raft, and
yeah, nothing's motorized.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying it wasn't like you were out with the family. You had someone that was guiding you, and you paid him extra to hit that rock and flip everyone.
Well, I was the biggest guy, so I was about 25 pounds more muscle back then. I couldn't even wear this shirt. This shirt would have been like cutting into my arms and stuff. And so they wanted me to sit in the front, and I found out why. Because every time the boat would hit the water, the ice cold sheet of water would come up. It would hit me, and everybody else behind me.
You're the shield.
But there was this one guy I think his name was Ron. He was a stroke survivor, and he walked with a limp, and one arm was kind of, always like this. But after another group saved that guy, pulled him out of the water, and he stayed with their boat. And then at the end of the thing, he said, "This is my second time being capsized." And we said, we were really proud of him, but he said, "You going back next year?" And he said, "Nope."
Nope.
There's a difference between guts and stupidity. So yeah.
No, but because those rafts some of those are pretty big rafts. So yeah, I could picture that like you're up, your wife or girlfriend was up on the other side. Yeah, coming straight down.
She was my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, she almost killed me. And yeah, it's.
Did anyone else get hurt or?
Nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt. Everybody was. I tried that thing that they tell you to do where you face downstream and you I can't do it.
You're supposed to put your legs up.
My legs are too long. I could not keep them up, and I guess my abs are too weak or whatever. So after a few minutes of trying, that would seem like a few minutes, I said, "Screw this!" I flipped over and swam over to a boulder, and then this kid Jerry came over, and he's like panicked because he thinks all of his charges are dead. I jump in.
Oh, he was the operator.
Yeah.
Where am I?
He was like 21 or something. Yeah,
I'm not going to get a tip now.
He was so scared. Yeah, and I was like, trying to calm everybody down with jokes and stuff, and it worked pretty well, except for Jerry. Jerry just had that wide eyes, and So
it's over now, man. Game over, man. Game over.
Yeah. Punk Waddle, where are you that you do whitewater rafting, or where did you do it? I'm not reading all the chat. That's what happened to me, Punk Waddle. I swam over to a rock, and then Jerry pulled me out, and then we went and pulled. Fortunately, in those days, I was lifting. That was like 5 years ago. I was lifting weights pretty hard, and was able to pull everybody. And everybody else were little people. It was mostly women.
So Thor was just grabbing people with one hand. Yeah.
What's your near-death experience, Mark? Were you attacked by a black bear in New Hampshire?
No, the internet almost went out, so I couldn't get join the Saturday Night Star Trek stream. So I had a Wi-Fi hotspot that I bring with me, and the damn thing wasn't working. Damn you, Verizon! You're not sponsoring this show. But I got to see what's up with the hotspot. There's like there's a cell tower you can like see. I'm saying you're in the woods, but you're not. You're not at like Philmont or. I think someone was mentioning before they went to out in Mexico, New Mexico. There's a Philmont, which is a great. Who had mentioned it in the chat? Let's see, that was Punk Waddle. Yep. So Philmont's an awesome experience. So I never did that, but I've had friends who did that, and some kids that just went from our town now. So you're basically hiking like 15 to 20 miles a day In New Mexico, it's higher adventure, and there you really do have to watch out for bears. So that I'm sure there's no cell phone service or limited.
Cell phones,
but
wow.
Yeah. So or
last time I went camping with scouts, seatbelts were an option.
Yeah.
We were in Pennsylvania, and we went into the deep woods, and cell phones had not been invented yet, and we were, you had to build a fire by rubbing sticks together and all that stuff, which is why I'm not a scout anymore.
Right. Mark, you never did one of those real long like camping things where it's like just you, a guide, and like 3 other kids, and y'all don't all know each other?
I never did any high adventure things like that.
Never,
where you, but I would camp in like January, and then you'd back in the 70s, you'd wear jeans, and then your jeans would freeze. You'd take your jeans off, and you try to put them on in the morning, and they're frozen because of humidity. Like we had the worst gear. I mean, I guess it was better than. I think actually in the 70s were more stupid. Probably when they're older, they had wool clothes and heavy things that they would wear.
That's true,
and we'd wear like jeans to go. And plus, you're young and in great shape, and you're not,
Yeah, you don't care.
The cold doesn't bother you as much. You lose a few fingers there. No.
Are you sorry you didn't do that though? Like you could have begrudgingly won the respect.
Well, I probably should have gone on. I did some of the jamborees, but I should have gone to Philmont maybe. But I had, we had the main thing was hanging out with your friends and having fun. So you do some hikes and things, but it was just hanging out by the campfire, kind of like Star Trek 5. Steve was joking last night, row your boat, but those are the great memories that you remember, or when it gets really cold, you remember that, or when it's raining, or you get a mudslide or things like that. But those are all good.
What was the movie with Kevin Bacon, and he leads the troop and he breaks his leg and the kids have to carry him out? And they all hated him. And do you remember that? It was like a Corey Haim movie or something like that.
I don't remember that one. I'll Google it.
I've seen a Corey Haim movie.
This probably wasn't Boy Scout. They never call it. They always make up like the scout.
No, they were like juvenile delinquents.
Yeah, they call it. But was the scouts? But they were supposed to be scouts, or
Punkwaddle, that'll teach you to do a good deed. Punkwaddle tried to save a guy from flying out the raft, and he went in too. No good deed goes on. Hey, I actually have a story. I have a story. It's not my story, but I used to teach Kung Fu. And I used to teach something called Iron Palm, which is you get a bag of iron shot, and you basically hit it with the front and the back of the side of your hand. And it's for striking, because if you hit somebody in the face, you shouldn't use a fist. You should use a palm. It's hurt them and not hurt you. And I had a student who got really, really good at it. He was a big guy. He was like 270. He was about 6'4", very strong, and also, carrying some extra weight. He and this other student of mine went to Colorado, and they were camping and rock climbing and stuff. And Jim and some other people were skating, not with actual skates, just like on a frozen lake with their shoes. And I had told Jeff a story about a friend of mine that, because I'd never used Iron Palm for anything, except a parlor trick. But I had a student that was shooting pool, and he put the coins in, to get the balls to drop. And they didn't. And so he hit the top of the table. And it turns out there's a little 9-volt battery or something in there, like a miniature car battery. And the thing exploded.
Good Lord.
So I told these guys the story. Well, Jeff was remembering that. And they were, I was still in Baton Rouge, but they were in Colorado. And Jeff wanted to see how good his Iron Palm skills were. So he got down. He thought he'd see if he could chip some ice off the frozen lake. He broke the lake and everybody fell in.
No way.
Yep. And I got it from the other guy that went with him. He said, "Yep, absolutely happened." And I believe it, because I taught this guy something that most people don't believe in. It's called Qigong. It's internal, power stuff. And it's real simple. It's real simple stuff. Like you aim your arm at a wall, instead of using physical strength, you just imagine that it's a high pressure water hose shooting water, and it should make your arm unbendable, or at least very, very hard to bend. I taught this to Jeff, and I tried to bend his arm. And I basically let go of the ground and was hanging on his arm. That's how good he was,
Wow. Good Lord.
But yeah, I mean, he was also very, very strong, but he was seriously into doing his Kung Fu stuff. So it was so funny, because he and one of my other students fought for first and second at a tournament in New Orleans. And they came running up to me afterwards and said, and Steve, his name was Steve Gant, when they read out the trophies, they misread it and said Steve Giant, and this 6'7" guy stands up.
That fits it.
Hundreds of people. This is a huge trunk. Hundreds of people start laughing. You know, they came right up to me and said, "Steve, we got first and second in the lumbering behemoths division."
That's awesome.
So, Mark, you won't remember this movie because you were probably well into college when it came out. So.
Let's see, White Summer, 87. But is it what was it rated? Let's see, rated R was like a.
Oh no, I'm sure
it's not a teen. It's not a teen. It's a. It's
maybe
not like
PG-13 then.
PG-13. Okay, yeah, it's like a feel good movie, right? Yep. I haven't seen that one, but Eric K mentions Meatballs though.
Meatballs.
Oh,
I never saw that.
Oh God, you never saw Meatballs?
No, it was sort of like Bad News Bears, was it?
A little bit, yeah. They're at summer camp, and they're. I wish I could play some of it, but you can't. You get. You know,
the first one was awesome. The other six not so good.
So good.
The other.
This is all you need to know. There you go. Bill Murray and Meatballs. Yep.
That is true. I remember watching that movie as a little kid and thinking I think that was like the first time I said, "Oh, girls are like different than us." Like. Girls make me feel funny, because there were some really cute girls in that movie.
For me, it was The Secrets of Isis with Joanna Cameron.
Oh.
Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the TV show on Saturday morning, Isis, right?
Yeah, and she had on basically she was an Egyptian goddess in the modern world with sort of a tennis player skirt thing going on, and it was that, and then Wonder Woman, and I was like 11 or 12 or something. And my father and I would watch Wonder Woman every week. And it started out for different reasons, but our reasons sort of converged as I hit 12, 13, you know.
Yeah. Wonderful. Meatballs is the famous scene. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Yeah, so they're kind of like the Camp North Star is the right. You know, the dorky camp or the
it's a lower
underdog,
right? The lower middle class camp. That's right.
Yeah.
And it was a Camp Mohawk, right? It's the rich kids camp.
Yeah, rich kids camp. Yeah.
And that's why it just doesn't matter because at the end of the day, all the good looking girls are still going to go with the guys from Camp Mohawk.
Yeah,
because they have all the money.
Yeah.
This might have actually. This was not not Bill Murray's best movie, but maybe his best performance.
None of these other actors ever made anything. I've never heard of any of these.
Hey, people. Hungry Boy.
Electro Woman and Dinah. Okay, so we know Hungry Boy is at least like 50, 55 or something. Yeah.
Oh, I should. I got to do Isis TV show now.
Oh yeah. Joanna Cameron. She was also in. She actually at one point held the world record for the most commercials. She did a lot of commercials for pantyhose and eye makeup, because she was so pretty.
No, she was gorgeous. Yeah, I didn't realize it as a 8-year-old, but yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I guess I was like 11. Or
you wanted to find out her secrets.
Whew, yeah, she was beautiful. And I'm friends now with Mark knows this with the second guy to play Captain Marvel in Shazam, and he said that she doesn't want to have anything to do with that part of her life of acting or. Like she won't go to cons. She lives in Hawaii and she just stays. It's just her and her family. And she's not interested in acting or anything anymore, which is a shame because she was in the Spider-Man TV show. Remember that with Nicholas Hammond back in the 70s?
Yeah. Oh, I love that TV show. Yeah.
Yeah, she was in that. Beautiful woman.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Yeah. And for a while they were going to change the name too because of ISIS. So
she was also topless in a movie. But I don't remember. It was before her. It was before all this stuff came up.
Yeah, look that up, Mark.
I'd like to get in trouble now. Yeah.
Now, look, but I'll tell you, this is something that's kind of a breakthrough because I didn't realize this until recently. So, because I'm a visual effects artist. The one where she's flying.
Yeah.
That's the first time that's the first time. I didn't know it until now, just looking at it like a year ago. She's not suspended by wires like John Davey was or Superman, George Reeves. She's standing on the ground and the camera's above her head at an angle.
Oh, that makes sense. That's kind of cool.
Because think about it. Her hair would be pointing down towards the ground, but it's not. It's pointing straight back. So they just have the camera.
Well, that was the wind.
Yeah, that's right. That was the airflow.
Yeah, so
she doesn't want to do any cons. Yeah.
In the first, actually, I think in the first, somebody told me in the first couple of episodes she did do the wire. She said, "I'm not doing that." And there's John. You can't see it in this picture. He's like 6'4", 6'5". He was a Marine.
He's a huge guy. Yeah.
He's a big guy. He's a really nice guy. Super, super fun. He's like 82 or 83 now. But he was not George Foreman. Joe Frazier's sparring partner.
Oh, okay. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Nice guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, he's super, super nice guy.
There you go. That would have made your dad happy.
Oh, it made me happy. Yeah, it's making me happy now. Yeah.
So here we got to do Electro Woman and Dynagar. I remember that show too.
I can't believe that Hungry Boy remembers that.
Great
memory. That was Kathy Lee Crosby.
Kathy Lee Crosby. Yep. And they made a new version too. That was out 2016. I have not seen that one, but here's the classic. Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
76. Yep. And I think Kathy Lee Crosby, didn't she also play? Was Wonder Woman in a pilot or a movie too? I think before the TV show.
She was either Wonder Woman or her mother. I'm not sure.
And I think she was actually Wonder Woman.
It may have been Wonder Woman. Yeah.
In a pilot. I think
it was.
By the power of Google.
Yeah. I have the power. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the new version. And then
in my opinion, all the Marvel movies and stuff really start with Shazam, because from Shazam, immediately there was Isis, and then right after that was Wonder Woman, the $6 Million Man, the Bionic Woman, then the Incredible Hulk, and then things just started, taking off from there. They had Spider-Man, they had a Doctor Strange TV movie, which was really bad.
Yeah, they had some 70s stuff. Yeah, they had the. That was just for TV, like you said, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just except for the Incredible Hulk. First two episodes were cut in Europe and released as a theatrical movie. Yeah, so
they have the Spider-Man movie too. Spider-Man, they made some movies out of the TV shows and put them together. Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was.
And Steve Reeves is still huge in Italy, even though he's dead.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Steve Reeves was the first bodybuilder to play. He played Hercules. He was the first one.
Or Hercules, I guess we're supposed to. How are we supposed to say it according to Raquel?
Well, Heracles. Heracles, I think.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when Arnold Schwarzenegger's idol, a guy named Reg Park, died. I'm sorry, when Steve Reeves died, the guy who followed him in the Hercules movies was actually the guy that inspired Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I remember reading what he said. He said, we all hated Steve Reeves, not because he wasn't a nice guy. He was a very nice guy, but he was so handsome that he got all the women. And they looked at the rest of those bodybuilders back in the 40s and 50s. They looked at the rest of those bodybuilders as freaks. He said, and then we heard he was going to be playing Hercules. We thought, aha, he's going to have to cover up that face. There's going to be some women for the rest of us. and then he wrote, son of a bitch, wouldn't you know? And he looked even better with the beard.
Oh yeah, so she did do it. Yeah, there was a television film, Wonder Woman, year before Linda Carter. Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go.
William Devane. Wow.
I don't think they ever solved Steve Reeves' murder, did they?
Oh, you're thinking of George Reeves.
Oh, that's right.
Reeves,
yeah. Well, it's officially ruled a suicide, but I'm with you. I think it was a murder because there were no prints found on the gun.
Yeah.
And there were no powder burns on his head or his hand. So
yeah.
Jack Larson went to his grave insisting that it was a suicide because he was, depressed about being typecast. But the forensics, I'm not a forensic scientist, but but I play one on TV. Actually, one of my best friends is. It's so weird. He's a world famous forensic scientist among their forensic scientist. The guy was the biggest class clown in Kung Fu you ever saw, so it's just weird. But no, but I'm with you. I think he was murdered, and I think it was his wife or ex-wife. Because there was something about like she was still going to get the money if he died.
Yeah.
No, I think they were divorced or going through divorce or something.
That actually happens a lot. I had a cousin who because he had kids and everything, he just said, she wants to kill me, she can kill me. But he left his wife as, because he's like, I know she loves our kids, and she does. She's a nice lady. I actually like her better than I like him. But to this day, he's still single. He's well into his 70s, and she's 68, 69, and she's still his benefactor. When he dies, she gets the money. Of course, his kids do now too because they're adults. But
yeah,
Bob Crane too, right? Bob Crane's death's never been solved. There's a few Hollywood unsolved.
But he was murdered. I mean, definitely.
100%. Yeah. It
was like strangled with a electrical cord or something, wasn't he?
They did an HBO movie about it. It was pretty good. It was mostly like he was really into like, well, how should I put this? I don't want to get Mark's channel in trouble.
Yeah,
he was into early adult entertainment. He was a film enthusiast. He made his own films.
I think he was also. I don't know if I can say this. I think he was also a swinger. There was some sort of weird kind of sexual,
he definitely was. He was a let's use the word deviant back then was probably a con word they would have used. Yeah, he was definitely into all kinds of weird things, which is funny because for the most part, the Hogan's Heroes guys were all pretty straight laced. I saw an interview with them about 20 years after Hogan's Heroes went off the air, and you found out some interesting stuff about them. Like a lot of them were actual World War II and Korean vets, and interestingly enough, everybody who played a major role as a German, they were actually either European Jews or descendants of European Jews. So
I think Werner Klemperer was a German Jew.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was not Colonel. Yeah, it was the Colonel. What's the name of the commandant? I can't believe I remember Werner
Colonel Klink. I don't remember
Colonel Klink. Yeah.
Yes, and Schultz and who was the German? The German general who was like part of the. I mean, he was actually he was actually an SS German general. He was
in real life. You mean in real life or
no. They were they were all European Jews. No, yeah, they did that intentionally. They did that intentionally. They didn't want anybody who would be like. There was a thing in the contract with the writers that they had to anytime they had more than 5 minutes of screen time, they had to do something that made them look stupid. The Germans could never come out on the top, right? It had to be you watch it now, it's a silly show, but actually it's very entertaining. I think it's still very watchable.
It's a great show,
even 45 years later.
I haven't seen it since the 70s, but I'll bet all of us still know the theme song, like
100%.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Great theme song.
Yeah,
and
Mark, who would make a story about a prison camp? And
it was based on a very serious movie, right? Called Silent 17. Yeah, absolutely. With was that Crenna?
Rod Steiger.
Well, okay.
Wasn't it?
Who is was it who won the Oscar?
Hold on, guys.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Because he holds the record for the shortest Academy Award speech ever. He just got up and he said, "Thank you," and he took his Oscar and walked off the stage. He just applauded. He didn't thank a dozen people. He didn't go on and on about the production. But that's
Mark. You've been trolled here.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was just saying too.
Oh, you deleted them. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at what you were talking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, Steve, when he has all the wrenches on his panel, that's what happens.
Good.
I'm the world's worst wrench anyway. I mean,
hold on. I gotta handle this. Yeah.
Clobby made me a wrench on my very first day on his channel.
Mark, Eric Kay's not a wrench. Eric Kay's like the wrench of wrenches. Why is it?
It's okay.
Eric Kay is a wrench.
Oh, okay, I was going to say.
Yeah, I can see his wrench right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Eric's got it. Yeah, he'll get it. Yep. But they got Clobby's channel last night, and they got they've been going around. And then the thing is, they keep coming back too, which is crazy. So
they were hitting Clobby a couple of times. I hit the report button a couple of times.
I wonder what that's about. I didn't see that over the weekend on any of the other big channels. It's odd they hit Clobby. I guess they think we're a bunch of pervs on that channel, huh? Let's get these Star Trek nerds.
They just go for any channel, I guess, and they can.
I suppose.
Do you think it's an actual person doing that, or it's some sort of a?
Well, they're bots. I mean, they're bots.
Oh yeah, I was going to say
they're just going for. I was looking at some of the bot farms they have set up, and it's just one person with like 50 cell phones, going around, and hitting everything, or it's just
Hey, I think it was Hungry Boy that said that he was a big fan of William Devane.
Yep.
So I actually, unlike most comic book guys, I actually really liked Lois and Clark. I liked a different take on it. And William Devane was in an episode where this supervillain was bringing back dead gangsters, like basically cloning them. I think I don't remember exactly the plot. And one of them was Bonnie and Clyde, and William Devane. No, William Devane was not Bonnie and Clyde. He was who was the Chicago Capone. So yeah, if you're a fan of William Devane, he played Al Capone on an episode of Lois and Clark.
He's good, great actor. Yep.
Yeah.
And now he's selling gold on certain channels, right?
Yeah.
And he was on 24. He was really good on 24. Yeah, I liked him.
The guy that played Chakotay too. I don't remember his name. Robert something. Was also on an episode too. Back before he was Chakotay, when he was finding small roles here and there. He was in a Chuck Norris movie called Lone Wolf McQuade.
I remember that one. Yeah.
David Carradine.
David Carradine. Yeah.
Doing fancy hand stuff that means nothing. Yeah.
It's gonna be so awesome.
Looks great though.
It's gonna be awesome on Saturday nights when we hit DS9, but eventually that also means that Voyager's coming, and is that going to be a struggle?
Voyager's not. I don't know.
Oh,
I just
God. Come on.
I was such a Star Trek fan, I guess, but I watched it. Every show. I waited every week till it came out, and I just remember I was home alone. I got to watch my Star Trek Voyager. Yeah, all right. There's a lizard episode where Paris turns into a lizard, but there's some good episodes too.
And doesn't he mate with the captain?
Yeah,
they
turn into lizards, and they have lizard, and then they leave the lizard babies on the planet, which is another controversy.
I actually really like the last 3 seasons. Not all of it, but a lot of it.
Yeah,
and not just because of 7 of 9.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm watching one. That's the story I always tell. Mrs. D walks in. She's like, "What the hell are you watching? Is that Skinamax?" Like,
that's right.
No,
it's 2 salamanders in love.
Well, this was with 7 of 9's costume. She's like, "Who's that girl on the screen? What are you watching? What are you watching?"
It's Jake from State Farm.
Yeah, I'm like, Maureen, those are implants. Her Borg implants.
And honestly, Mark and Steve. Mostly Mark, though, Steve, because Mark's taken up for Voyager. Neelix is not only the most geeky character ever. If you watch the first 2 seasons, he's like a creep, man. He's like
with Cass,
he follows her around. She's like 6 years old, and he's all infatuated.
She's 20 though, right? I mean,
no, she only lives till she's 10, right? So
that's the way they get around.
When she's 6, she's in her mid-40s. So that's her.
Yeah. That was a creepy way to have
But he was still a jerk. He really was,
Speaking of people who turned out really weird, has anybody seen what happened to the woman that played Jess?
That poor woman. Yeah, she broke into somebody's house topless.
Naked,
and fell asleep on their sofa or something, right? Like she did a Robert Downey Jr. and
she's done more than one. She was naked running down the street screaming. She's like nuts.
Yeah. Steve means mentally ill nuts, right? Exactly. The woman needs treatment. Correct. Yeah.
she has a buzz. She has a buzz cut, and you wouldn't. First of all, she looks like a man.
Yeah, she's not she did not age well. She's not a pretty older woman at all.
And then you got what's her name from Smallville that got involved in that sex cult, Allison Mack.
Oh, Allison Mack, yeah, she was so cute too. She was great in that show, yeah.
And now she's gonna be doing.
That was a breakout. 3 years, I think, though, right? She only got.
Oh, Eric K saw it in the last year. Didn't care for it. Okay, that's. I liked a lot of Voyager. Not all of not the first 3 seasons certainly, and not all of them, but there were some that I really liked.
I was gonna say what they should have done was had the ship more in distress. So a couple episodes did that. But, you think the ship is like 75, what was it, 75 years away at warp, 9. The ship would start to break down. They never really, had, they had some they were limited photon torpedoes and things, but they didn't really have that where the ship was falling apart after a while.
Right. Well, they did address. I mean, they did address that. They were like, we need to make a detour and fix this, fix that, get dilithium or whatever, and then they had, hilarious hijinks ensued.
Yeah, they were trading with people, but it would have been cooler to really see the ship, like, really, and
they
really
did that great.
Shape,
I think that 2-parter, The Year of Hell, was really
that
good.
That
should have been the
Kurtwood
season
Smith,
of hell. I think they really messed up. They did the same thing with House. They had House go to jail, and the episode where he's in jail is really good. But it's like they should have done 7 or 8 episodes of him being in jail. That would have really been cool and different and everything. And I think they should. I don't know if you do a whole season of A Year in Hell, but maybe 10, 15 episodes would have been really cool, and it made a lot of sense, because that's probably exactly what happened to you.
Well, Kurtwood Smith would have been too expensive, I think.
That's true.
He was a pretty big, because he had already done the Star Trek movies, the RoboCop movie, and that 70s show was already, was it? I'm not sure about my timeline, but yeah, he's a pretty in-demand actor.
That is a good point, though, because I don't think that 70s show would have been that 70s show without him. He was definitely the funniest guy on that show. That character was just so spot on, a man of his time,
Really good actor. I mean, the guy could do good guys, bad guys, comedic drama.
Yeah.
He was the reason the kid killed himself in that Robin Williams movie, Captain, My Captain.
Oh
yeah.
Seize the Day, Carpe Diem.
Yeah, Carpe Diem, yeah.
Dead Poets Society.
Dead Poets, yeah. All I could think was Patch Adams. I'm like,
who was the best friend of House on? See, we went full circle. Sean Leonard, I think his name is. Yeah,
Sean Leonard.
Okay. But yeah, that was a good. Oh, you know what else he was too? As a kid, I'm like, oh, cool, a movie where a man becomes a robot policeman. I have to see RoboCop. I'm sure this won't be terrible at all. And the first 10 minutes, Kurtwood Smith shoots Peter Weller's arm off. It was like the most. I'm like 8 years old, man. I think I had PTSD from that.
Oh yeah.
My dad's like, I don't think you should be watching this. I'm like, I agree. What the hell's wrong with you? You're an awful parent. Why are you letting me see this?
Spitting blood into RoboCop's, basically eyes. Can you fly, Bobby? And then shooting the guy back into the cop car, and he dies. And then
was that movie rated R, gentlemen? It absolutely should have been. If it was,
RoboCop was rated X to begin with.
Oh wow!
They had to take scenes out. They had to take the scene in the boardroom that was much worse. We see it uncut. I mean, or relatively, the guy's getting shot up to pieces.
Like truly shot to pieces. Yeah, okay.
The guy's getting shot to pieces. Like, how much worse can it get?
Yeah,
right.
And then Dick Jones falls out the window for some reason. His arms are really comically long. Dick Jones.
And then the scene where in the junkyard when the guy gets hit by the car and he turns into goo. He's like,
that's right. Yeah,
he's sprayed with the chemicals, and he's
the doctor from ER gets
RoboCop extends that prong it's supposed to use for computer terminals and stab
the R2D2 terminal.
The R2D2 terminal.
The second best falling out of a window movie scene ever. The first, of course, is Die Hard.
Die Hard, yeah.
Where he really looked like he was falling out of a window. Not only did he look scared, it actually looked good, right? Whatever they filmed that with, I assume it was probably early green or blue screen technology, right?
No, it wasn't that early. No, green screen technology goes back to the 50s.
That's old, yeah, right?
George Reeves was lying on a table in front of a green screen, back in Superman, so.
But you have to admit it looked good.
Technology, though, yeah.
Pat,
it looked good.
Do you know why he looked so scared?
Because he's dead now.
Heights.
Because he was an awesome actor.
Oh, did we lose Steve?
No, he wasn't awesome. He was an awesome actor.
I was going to say, Steve's got to come back. We have to hear the story.
I just saw this. So they had him on the thing, and they said, okay, we're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 0, we're going to let you go. And then he fell a long way onto one of those big, air balloon things.
Cool.
They said, we're going to count back from 10. 10, 9, 8, and they let him go. And so the fear was real.
Wow. He must have wanted to kick Richard Donner in his mouth. Eric K. spoiled it for you, but I didn't quite get what he meant until you said the story. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Eric Kay knew that one. He was like, "That's amazing. That's not method acting. That's
real acting, right? Yeah.
Actual fear." That's a pretty cool story, actually. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that movie has so much mythos behind it. That's why I can't understand why some people think The Last Boy Scout was a better movie with Bruce Willis than Die Hard.
You know who was remember early in the movie, this football player, and he's like it's been so long since I've seen it, but yeah, it's
what's his
Billy
name?
Blanks.
Billy Blanks.
By the way, the only person who I think really could have beat Bruce Lee, because I saw that guy in a tournament once do a backflip and kick a guy.
Wow.
And he wasn't as
Billy
fast
Blanks,
as Bruce. Billy Blanks, he was amazing.
Oh yeah,
he was amazing. He's big, he's strong, and he's fast. He's not as fast as Bruce, but he was so close that with his greater reach and his greater size, I think he's probably the only one that could have beat Bruce.
Wow.
And I'm just guessing, Hungry Boy. I mean, Bruce is dead, so we don't know. But
right, we'll never know.
Yeah, but what we do know is that, and a lot of people don't know. Like Joe Rogan's, like he never fought. Yes, Joe Rogan, he fought on rooftops he used to wear a chain around his for a belt. He disconnected, back in the days, like in The Godfather, when they had the toilet where you had chains from the ceiling, you pulled the flush thing. He disconnected one of those and wore it around his belt, around his waist as a belt, because he was a Wing Chun stylist, and his style had been feuding forever with the Choi Lee Fut people, and they used to fight on rooftops, and with knives and with tire irons, the old ones that are shaped like an L.
Oh, cool. Like Double Dragon.
I don't remember Double Dragon. I saw it, but it was so long ago. But anyway,
I meant more the video game, right, where they would pick up a pipe or a tire iron or a chain in the game. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are like, Chuck Norris could have beat Bruce because Chuck was world champion and Bruce never fought. Bruce didn't fight with pads and mats and rules and judges and referees. He had to come to America because he punctured the lung of the son of the chief of police in Hong Kong. And had he been around the next morning, he'd have gone to prison. So
wow, that makes sense. Were you offended by the scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I don't really care for Quentin Tarantino movies, but I saw it on YouTube, and it's and that's where people are saying he was an actor, he wasn't a fighter. BS. Bruce Lee was so fast and so strong, and so he like. Danny Inosanto, his number one student, who's still alive, and they met because he thought he was going to teach Bruce a thing or two, and Bruce taught him a thing or two. He said that Bruce could, on command, you could call out any famous fighter, and Bruce Lee could exactly mimic their style. Muhammad Ali, Jersey Joe Walcott, Max Baer, Sr. That's how good he was. He studied Savate. He studied it through books.
Wait, Max Baer from Jethro Bodine, Max Baer.
His dad was world champion. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep.
Who was the guy? Mark, you might remember this movie, Uncommon Valor. The guy that played Sailor, right? He was dude. That guy looks like he weighs about 300 pounds. But if you watch old videos of him from the 70s and 80s, that dude was agile. That must have been jiu-jitsu, right? That he used a lot of. Because he was able to pick people. Pull him up, Mark. I'm sure Steve will recognize.
Yeah, pull him up. Yeah,
because he did a lot of the throw you across the room kind of stuff and everything.
Yeah, he was a big guy. But the Hungry Boy's saying about Die Hard and
Hungry Boy's right.
Some people do like it. I mean, I like Die Hard better, but I love Last Boy Scout. I think the character that Bruce Willis plays is actually in some ways a better character than John McClane. Believe it or not, I think.
Yeah. Were you on that panel?
Yeah, I was on the panel with Nick. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, Hungry Boy, check out Nick Weiser's panel on Last Boy Scout. But yeah, they're I'm rewatching it over and over for the panel. I think tomorrow night what are we doing on Tuesday night? It was,
hang on, Eric K. I think Eric K. is trolling us here. He said, "Look up Bruce Lee playing ping pong with Nunchakas and."
Yeah,
it's CG. I think Eric is trolling us a little bit.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And Mark, you believe Damon Wayans has the physique of a NFL football player, right? In the late 90s.
He could probably needed to work out a little bit more. Not that
I was going to say, I'd say maybe about another 50, 60 pounds.
Well, he's a quarterback. Don't forget too. So
I was right. It is Reb Brown, who also played Captain America on TV.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. And he was in a movie with Lou Ferrigno too, where they played caged fighters.
This movie was ridiculous, but
this is
it was
I
good.
suggested this to Nick Weiser too to cover this movie.
Oh, it's definitely
Swayze.
toxic.
Yeah, so you got Gene Hackman and Swayze was a young kid. Was he the young kid in this one?
Yeah, he was the one that was thrown out of the Marine Corps.
Thomerson? Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was.
No, it's a really well done movie. Yeah.
He was too excitable to be in the Marine Corps, so they threw him out. He wanted to go save I think his dad was missing, right, in Vietnam.
Yeah, I'll do. Let's check the images here.
Pat, have you seen his Captain America?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I mean, it was on TV. Red Brown, I'm talking about. He was on TV. He did the best that he could, but
that's him right here.
He had a clear plastic shield.
Yeah.
His mask,
the
motorcycle helmet. Yeah, with the wings.
That's pretty amazing. He's Sailor to me. That was his iconic role as far as I'm concerned. He was awesome in that with his hand grenade around his neck and.
Yeah. And he's a pretty big guy. I think he's like pretty tall too.
He beat the snot out of Patrick Swayze in the movie.
I'll tell you, Patrick Swayze has got the moves. I don't know if it's from his dance background, but like Roadhouse, that guy had. I believed him. Yeah. Look at Captain America. Look at the shield and the helmet. I mean,
we just quite weren't there with the technology.
This is better than the other one that they did, where in the comics, how Cap had his ears protruding. The cutouts.
There we go.
There was one with J.D. Salinger, his son.
Yeah, it was
Mark Salinger.
Mark Salinger, yeah.
And they actually glued rubber ears onto the side.
Yeah.
Like, why? The guy's got ears.
Well, guys, I could tell you this. I know for a fact that this movie must have had some impact because, Mark, you might remember this, and Steve, you probably would be a little bit old for this, but they actually redid some of Evel Knievel's motorcycle stuff. Remember the Evel Knievel motorcycle, like you could put it in the little crank thing?
Yeah, the crank, yep.
He would jump his van and stuff and all. They actually kind of redid that, and there was a Captain America version of that, which was obviously just repurposed Evel Knievel stuff.
Yeah.
Check out that bike. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I loved the bike. As a kid, I got it. I was, what was it, 79? So I was 11 years old, 10 years old. That motorcycle was cool, right?
One of the motorcycles. What was the motorcycle the movie where the guys were like, it's like a futuristic army, and they had the motorcycles that look like that.
Oh, that was Megaforce. Was it Megaforce?
Yes. Dude, some of the '80s B and C movies were pretty awesome.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
There we go. This was supposed to be a franchise, right? This was going to be.
I think it came out around the time of Star Wars, didn't it?
Yeah, you got me. I thought it was mid '80s, but I could be 100% wrong on that.
No, you're right. No,
82.
82.
Early
82,
80s.
right.
I have a question for everybody.
Versus Kambata from TMP.
Oh,
she was gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was in. She was also in the first Lois and
Clark. She died.
She died
20 years ago.
Oh,
I had no idea.
Very young, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh man, what was it? Some kind of awful thing? Like was she in a boat accident?
I think it was cancer. Yeah.
Cancer. Yeah. Yeah, she was Miss India. I was about to say that. She was in the first episode of Lois and Clark as well, and a few other things, but she died really, really young. I have a question for everybody. I think that Die Hard, the second one, is as good as the first one. Am I alone in that opinion?
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a phenomenal sequel. It's better than most part twos.
No, I'm an asshole. I'm just your kind of asshole. Sorry. I guess I can't say that on your.
Well, it's tough to. I mean, if you look at sequels, what are Star Trek? I always consider more of a continuing story. So is it really a sequel? Yeah. But I love TMP, but
the three best sequels ever, Steve, I would think and I think a lot of people would agree with this, would be Godfather 2, Aliens, which. I'm with Clobby. I think Alien was a better movie, but I think Aliens was an awesome, great movie. And I'm probably one of the few people that also feel this way. I think Terminator 2 was a better movie than Terminator, the original. I just like the whole story better. I thought it was more epic. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I love the first Terminator.
I think.
Why is the grandpa from Up dressed up as
that was a horrible angle shot.
That's not even Captain America. Who is that?
That's
USA
agent.
U.S. agent.
Oh, okay.
New show. Yeah.
Good Lord, that guy's got a jaw like that. Looks like somebody drew a picture.
Yeah, that's Kurt Russell's kid.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? Dude, he was on a great comedy show that only lasted a couple seasons. Did you ever see that show, Lodge 42 or Lodge 49? It was a really great show. It was on AMC. Came on after Better Call Saul and stuff and all. And it was really good, but it just never caught on. But I never really thought of him as an action hero. That's different.
Yeah. Let me address what Eric K just said.
What's
number
that?
One, he said he thinks that number 2 was good, Die Hard, but number 1 was better.
Okay.
I think that anytime you're introducing characters in a world for the first time, it's always going to have more of an impact because you don't know what to expect, you know. Whereas when you go for a sequel, you know the characters, you know McClane, you know, kind of a guy he is, you know, he's going to say, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm not saying it's better. I think it's as good, or at least it's, you know, in the same. It could stand next to it, you know, and.
Well, Steve, you know why you're always going to lose that, and it's not your fault because you're right. Actually, the Die Hard 2 story is kind of a better story. Like if it was just a completely different thing, if you put one against the other, but Die Hard, the first Die Hard's always going to have Hans Gruber, and that is a movie where the bad guy is much, much, much more interesting than the good guy, and everybody loves John McClane, but Hans Gruber, he's never had a villain he's up against like that.
Yeah. So and then
I also don't know. Could you really blow up a jet like that? Could you really throw a cigarette and the flame would follow it up to the? I mean, it could be. I don't know. I don't know that much about aviation fuel. If anybody in the chat does,
it's less flammable. What's really flammable is the fumes in aviation. That's why they had the problem with the 747. You know, that whole flight 800 controversy. I don't want to get into that, but they believe that the fumes ignited in the the spent gases. So that's what's really dangerous whenever you're working with something. It's the gas.
While we're on this real quick before you move on to the Captain America stuff, is the guy who played that renegade Air Force colonel. Eric K probably knows his name. William Sadler. Great actor. He was deaf in Bill and Ted 2. Remember when they played against death, a game of Twister for their souls?
Yeah.
He was also in the Shawshank Redemption. He was like, hey, fat ass. You know, you remember that guy? He was in everything. He was the president in Iron Man 2. He is, William Sadler. He is so different in everything he does. And my dad was in the Air Force, and he had Air Force buddies, and I always thought they had the same accent, like they came from the same small town in the Midwest or something, and he nailed it. This guy, he's not a name, but he is really good actor. I mean, you see all these different roles like Shawshank and whatever. He seems like a completely different person, or, deaf, so he was even a villain in a Steven Seagal movie. Those were when times were lean.
Hey, snort a poop. I'm not going to ever try the Racquel. Snort a poopus.
I just have to take my do the Racquel, Mark. Do the Racquel.
Yeah, I can't. No, that's Racquel owns that.
You'll have to sing "These Are the Steves I Know."
Yeah, then we'd lose all our viewers. Yeah.
So, guys, there's a good chance. There's a good chance we won't see Clobby tonight because Doomcock has honestly been known to keep those guys. I was laughing at Mexican Iron Man. He was telling me like he has to take a nap before the show because he just knows he's looking towards. It could be as much as 6 hours, right? That he's going to be on that show. So
yeah,
you got to do a pre-meet. You got to do a pre-meet up. He makes you go backstage like 15, 20 minutes before, and you got to go over everything and tell him what you're going to talk about and stuff. I mean, he's just a serious YouTuber, right? Yeah. He's got 2,000 people watching him right now, so
Well, no, I think Clobby could come over here and then be on both shows at once, right? Yeah.
There we go. He'll do that. Have you ever caught him doing that? Like, have you ever been in a chat and go like, oh, I got to go check out my other friend real quick and say hi. And you go in there and it's like, Clobby's running his show and he's still like wrenching for Paulie over at Latina Slant. That's the funniest thing. It's like he's doing his Wednesday night show and, Paulie's doing a live event and there's Clobby and you're like, how's Clobberin Times telling everybody to like and subscribe? Paulie, he's running his own show.
Well, I've done that a few times. Like, you got a lot of friends on YouTube you want to support. So you're watching, like one stream, the sound is off. You got, a couple tabs up. And then sometimes, like a couple times I made like the comment for one stream and the other, it's like by accident. It's like, oops. Nope, that was meant for someone else.
I didn't know William Sadler died. Oh, man. I liked him. He was a good actor.
When did he pass?
I don't know. It just said, when you scroll down, it said William Sadler death below that. That's where my first.
When did he pass away?
Oh, 1950. He wasn't that old. He's only in his 70s.
Wait, this one says
no.
According to this, he's still alive because it says
he's still alive. Yeah,
is in America. Okay, so that thing it said William Sadler death. That must have been one of those.
Oh, he must have been playing.
He played. That's right. He played Death in the second Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, in the third one too, right? Didn't he come back and he didn't want to? He didn't want to perform with them at first, and the girls had to talk him into it. Yeah.
Actually, one of the daughters is really good. Which was the one that was Keanu Reeves' daughter in the movie was.
Really that girl's in that show Atypical. That's great. A good show.
No, she really fit. As people are mad. Oh, he changed. They both had daughters, but I thought it was kind of funny that they had daughters. It was she was really. I mean, the other actress was good too, but she really stole the show. I thought. Let's see, Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
He was in Ant-Man. I don't remember him in Ant-Man, but
yeah, who was the cast? And Alex Winter, Kristen Shaw. No, not her. Who was it? It was
she's on everything. Her.
Oh, this girl. Oh, she was really good. I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were funny. Yeah, and the movie was okay. It wasn't.
It wasn't great. I'm glad they finally wrapped it up. I kind of like how they made it. Like, I don't know if you could have made a movie if they would have actually written a song that, you know what I mean? Like what you thought in the first two movies was going to happen. So I thought it was kind of a neat way that they made it come back. That's her.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. But it wasn't like, it's always tough to, compete, with that success he had before too. So
and obviously Keanu wanted to do it because
so good.
Somebody said, I think they said Keanu did it for he did it for scale, so that they could spend money on other things, that they could pay the other actors well, and
I think he wanted the other guy to have a job again because he has.
They've said that too. He's supposed to be this real generous guy. I don't know if this is true or not, but there's stories where they say where at Christmas time, if he's on a movie set, he's known to have gone through and give not even the other actors. It's like, oh, they're actors, but the crew members, he just get hand out checks for $50,000 and say, hey, make sure your kids have a good Christmas. And that's like, wow. I think any kid's gonna have a good Christmas on $50,000.
Right.
But, actually, I can speak to this because even though I didn't go to Hollywood, I went to visual effects school for to do visual effects animation, and yes, he did. The guys that unlike Robert Downey Jr., who is a greedy bastard. I mean, does anybody remember after he got out of prison last time? Does anybody remember the last role he had?
Alan McBeal wasn't. Was it?
No.
He got kicked off. He got kicked off. Alan McBeal.
He was the bad guy in the Tim Allen movie, The Shaggy DA, the Tim Allen remake. Wow. His career was over. And the only reason that Iron Man was made was because guys that do 3D, like I do, except for guys who are a lot better than I am, made that armor and made that all possible. So he went from, he would have been selling gold at midnight on, or selling Penn Life Insurance by now. The CG, he was now his minimum is $60 million a movie. Yeah. Keanu Reeves, on the other hand, donated, I think it was Matrix 2, but one of them, he donated most of his salary to the visual effects guys because visual effects guys often work for almost nothing. These guys go to school to learn CG, to learn all these things. They think they're going to go to Hollywood and, and a lot of them do. I have friends that worked on things like Avengers, and they're 3 guys in a 2-bedroom apartment, and they rotate who gets the couch, because that's all they can afford. As a matter of fact, there was a big stink about whenever the Avengers came out. I forgot what it was. It was the same year that Ang Lee did Life of Pi, and he thanked his wife, his accountant, the carpenter that built the tank. He didn't thank the guys that made the ocean and the tiger, the CG guys. And so on Facebook that year, guys like me, they turned their icons just green, because without us, green is all you get. And it's more than you think. It's not just visual effects. Like I've seen, like in trade magazines and stuff, Lincoln is sitting there talking to these guys in the rain, these 2 black soldiers. He was on a green screen set the whole time. TV shows where they have like courtroom shows, they're in a green screen room because it would cost too much to take the actors to an actual courtroom set or courtroom. So they do it in the green screen, and they get these guys that are working for nothing to build the CG in. So, but Keanu Reeves generously gave these guys. Oh, and one thing that's happened a lot is studios, because they have to underbid places like Canada, which are the government sponsors them. And so the Americans have to underbid them by a lot. A lot of times, a lot of these production houses have gone under and never paid their guys. So Keanu Reeves knew this, and he gave a lot of money to guys that do what I do, but make less than I do. Because I didn't go to Hollywood, because when I found out what I'd be making, I got in the gaming industry. So yeah, that is a true story, Pat. That was a long explanation. Sorry. But.
You just assume everybody in Hollywood makes a lot of money, right? I always find it funny when they have these actors that talk, and it's like guys you see, maybe you can't name who they are, but you'll see like, oh, I know that lady. She's been in this, and this, and all. And they talk about how you could go a year without getting an acting gig, and you'll be making a sandwich at a deli for somebody, and they'll be like, hey, you're the guy that was on Seinfeld for 8 episodes. It's like, yeah, I know.
and don't forget too, they're all there's a lot of people that are, it's a family business too. When Robert Downey Jr. it's a junior, right? So a lot of these people that are big stars, of course, you have to have talent to make it, but they get that foot in the door and that opportunity because of the name a lot of times. So, and that's the way it works, with jobs too, and the world in general. So,
well, you guys remember, like maybe it was 2 years ago, the guy that played the oldest daughter on the Cosby Show, the oldest daughter's husband. I don't remember his name.
Eric. Oh yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah.
Well, he played Alvin or Arvid or something.
Alvin.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right.
Elvin, maybe?
Alvin.
Yeah. There we go. Like that. Yeah. A couple of years ago, people were making fun of him because he's working at like a Trader Joe's as a bag boy now.
Yeah.
One of the Jackson 5.
Jeff Owens.
Jeff Owens. Yeah, Jeffrey Owens. Yeah. One of Michael Jackson's brothers is a box boy and I'm not using it as a racial term. I mean, that's what they call the guys that unbox things at like an Albertsons or a Costco or something. So a lot of people that at one point were, really rich are doing these, but there's money in Hollywood.
Is the Cosby Show off the air now too, I think? Or
Yep, that's one of the things that was killing those guys.
There's no residuals then, right?
They were still getting residuals, but when Cosby got Me Too'd, well, rightfully so, they took a show off the air,
Oh, and I never knew this. Jeff Owens' son is the son of Congressman Major Owens. Wow, I didn't know that.
There you go.
From which state?
From that's New York. Yeah, Major Owens was New York City. I think wasn't he? Yeah, New York's 11th and 12th congressional district. Yeah.
You think
Major
the kid
Owens.
of a politician would never have to work, but
so I'm wondering what when was his last time he worked? I guess maybe he did get some work, but yeah, from pretty sparse, I guess. So if the Cosby Show's not on TV, and he was only in 44 episodes, it says too, because he came on later, I guess, right? Yeah.
That's one of the guys I respect is you got to give him credit, as wacky as he is. But Nick Cage, right? He was Nick Coppola. Yeah. He changed his name and said, if I'm going to make it, I got to make it on my own and everything and all. And that was pretty good. Most people would have just wrote on their names. I think Nick Coppola is a pretty cool sounding name too. But
Nicholas Cole. Yeah, it's very. But Pat, do you know where he got the name Cage from? You probably do.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't. Actually, no.
You're a comic book guy.
Oh, from Luke Cage?
Luke Cage. It was his favorite comic book. Comic book.
That makes sense.
He's a genuine comic book aficionado, as are Tom Cruise and Corporal Klinger from MASH, Jamie Farr.
Wow.
He's a big. He went on the Mike Douglas show when I was a kid, and all he wanted to talk about was his comics. He brought him with him. He said, "This is an ultra rare Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. with Arrow."
He's always been a comic book fan. Yeah. He's the real deal with that.
Nick Cage will be. Mark can actually look this up if he wants to. Nick Cage will be buried one cemetery over from me one day. We'll be neighbors because he owns a pyramid, and I think it's in St. Louis No. 2 Cemetery. Mark, if you look it up, you'll find it. He actually had a pyramid. He bought a plot, an old plot. I think it was either never filled up or what they call vacating it, which means they moved the body. They didn't know who it was. And he had a pyramid built there, and that's where he was. He used to own a lot of you know what he used to own? The old Myrtle House, Steve. The haunted house in the French Quarter. He owned that for a while, yeah?
I was just about to bring that up, yeah.
But my daughter just went to New Orleans and did the ghost tour. Of course, then she was telling me about how scary it was, and I was reading about it and doing some research, and 99% of what they're saying was BS that they keep adding onto the story and changing this. It was a pretty horrible thing that happened, but they keep adding and adding and adding things that
Do you know what happened, Mark?
Yeah, there was I don't know how much detail I want to get into it just because of the subject matter, but people were there were slaves that were being tortured in the house, and then the house caught on fire, and then
not tortured, experimented.
Yeah, but some of that I read was not true. Doing some research, allegedly, but that's
Mark. Do you know that woman also drank virgin's baby's blood so she could say, yeah, because you know why? Because Steve, you'll know what I'm talking about, right? Every time you go on one of those tours, whoever's giving the tour, if they don't know something, they'll just make something up. Yeah, and she had a hook for a foot, and
well, some of the stuff my daughter was telling me the story, and I was doing some research, and not the minimum, obviously horrible things happen, but it's just like anything else when you start to sell story, a ghost tour story, they're going to obviously embellish things and make things.
The official story is the doctor that owned that, or the guy that owned it, was a doctor.
Right.
And that he was experimenting on his slaves, medical procedures, and then, taking the bodies out. And then a slave got out. In Louisiana, they had a thing called Code Noir. Now, there was different Code Noir in other states, which was a bad thing. But in Louisiana, they had, it was like a Bill of Rights for slaves. And there were certain things you couldn't do. Like you couldn't split, in Louisiana, you could not split up families. Like you couldn't sell a husband to one person and a wife to somebody else. You had to keep them together. I'm not saying that slavery was a good thing. I'm just saying that
no, it was what you're saying is, and it's true. It was a terrible situation, but it was a bit bearable. Not bearable. A bit better in New Orleans because at least you had the chance to buy your freedom and stuff. That it was still terrible. It was still unfair. It was still repressive. But you had but at least if you were under French right, under the old Napoleonic code, because France had a much different view of slavery than Britain did, and some of the more strident rich colonies because it was so influenced by France here, that you actually had a little bit better of a chance of getting out of it. Because there are a lot of, right, Steve, you could attest to this. There are places, Mark, in New Orleans that are pre-Civil War that were black-owned towns and cities and everything. The city of Jefferson, which was not Jefferson Parish, was part of Orleans Parish, and McDonoughville were actually black incorporated homesteads with neighborhoods, and they had their own schools and grocery stores and everything, and those were free people of color that started that.
There were black
plantations, and they were left alone because they produced, and there was no reason to do anything to them. They just did their own thing, just like the Irish had their own neighborhood, and the Italians had the French Quarter after the French left, and
So so the ending of that story though was that this doctor, that one of the slaves got out and told somebody, and they said that the doctor got word that they were coming after him, and so he he got on a carriage and made it to the coast and got on a boat to France. And apparently just by minutes got away because they would have, I don't know what the punishment would have been, but he certainly would have been tried.
And that was and the mom got away too, right? Did the mom get away, or she moved to France, or went back to France, or
I think they both went back to France.
Yeah,
and they made it. Yeah. Does Johnny Depp own it now? Pat, do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know it keeps getting bought and sold because nobody wants to hold on to it,
Nick Cage owns some really cool property in New Orleans. Oh, you know what you're thinking of? I think you're thinking of Brad Pitt, dude. Brad Pitt bought
Did Brad Pitt? Oh, okay.
Bought something, and then Brad Pitt bought what's her name? Anne Rice's, because Brad Pitt was in Interview for Vampire. Brad Pitt, I think, bought one of Anne Rice's old properties. John Goodman, you could still see John Goodman in New Orleans a lot. He doesn't stay down here as much as the oldest daughter or only daughter graduated from Tulane. But when she was down here, he was that was the whole reason he did the first season of Treme, was because he was down here. He was like, hey, I could work in New Orleans. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll do this part.
If you watch the last season of the first run of Roseanne, a friend of mine that ran a movie theater in Baton Rouge, her brother, Bud, John McConnell, is in the last season of Roseanne because when John Goodman was down there, he became friends with this guy. He's an actor. He's a really good actor. As a matter of fact, the family of the guy that wrote Confederacy of Dunces, they said that they don't want anybody except Spud playing. I can't remember the name of the guy now, but Kennedy
O'Toole.
Say hi to Cavatino. Welcome.
Hey,
howdy, Cavatino.
So, Mark, what did your daughter think of my old timey city?
Oh, she loved it. Yeah, no, the ghost tour scared her to death. She loves that kind of stuff. So,
did she say it's a nice place to visit, but she wouldn't want to live here?
Well, I mean, she was only passing through, so I mean, I guess any tour, anytime you're a tourist in a place and you don't really get to know
I think New Orleans is a great place to live for 10 years. I think when you start going, is it parade season again? There's going to be so much traffic uptown. That's when it's probably time to move. And what's funny is most people from New Orleans actually do move. People don't realize that, but they go to the North Shore. There's a huge Mark the F-Only Tired and I joke about this all the time. A lot of older people, especially older white Catholic people, that's why there's so many of them, move to the coast. There's a lot of them that live in Biloxi and Orange Beach, and they just kind of move out to that part of Mississippi because it's just a slower kind of.
When he says the coast, he doesn't mean California.
I mean the dirty. I mean the dirty coast. I mean the Gulf Coast. Not where you are, Mark. Not the boardwalk.
AKA the third coast.
The Hurricane Coast. Yeah. The Caribbean coast, Caribbean.
You guys have beignets down there too. God, I mean that's got to be a great place to live.
I'm pretty sure that we imported those from France. So yes, that's kind of our invention.
But I believe bread pudding was invented in New Orleans, wasn't it, Pat?
Yes, and Green Goddess salad dressing. That's right. No idea what that is. Was made on the West Bank. That's right. That was really popular, like in the 80s and 90s. I don't think anybody eats Green Goddess anymore.
What is it? It's a salad dressing? What is it?
Or sensation salad. Did you guys have that in New Orleans?
I don't know what that is. That sounds like I could get my channel banned.
Sensation salad is, if I recall correctly, it's pretty much like a Caesar salad without the croutons or something.
Yeah, extra bake. They had bacon. Yep.
Hey Pat, have you ever had a Sazerac?
Oh yeah, of course, sure. Back in my drinking days, yeah, absolutely.
You can't get that anywhere else. You can't even get that in Baton Rouge.
Right. I actually drank one of those on the carousel, sir, at the Roosevelt, as we call it down here, the Roosevelt instead of the Roosevelt, the Roosevelt Hotel. Oh, Mark, when you come down here, bro.
Wait, Cavatino's got 4 lobsters and garlic butter. Send that.
There we go.
Yeah, but he's only got it for snort.
Only for snort, though, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good. Snort of Poops will eat the whole thing.
Snort's got a certain charm that's hard to resist,
Mark, back in colonial times where you lived, Mark, that was poor people food. That was like giving somebody bugs back in the 1700s, you know?
Yeah, well,
they like, here, eat this lobster.
They could only serve lobster to prisoners like 20 times a month or whatever. There was laws in Maine or something. They limited the lobster consumption because it was considered torture. I guess they said they were just covered the beaches. Like, you know, there were just so many lobster everywhere. It was,
are you in Maine, Mark?
No, I'm in Connecticut, but
New York City.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, just so you get Maine lobster all the time, and you go to Maine, you know, like you go to Maine, and I got wife's cousins. They have a house up in Maine now, and you know, like I'm joking, you're there, and you're like, are we gonna have to eat lobster for breakfast? It's like, you know, lobster roll for dinner or lunch, and lobster, and I love lobster, you know, lobster bisque and lobster.
I bought a lobster sandwich here about 6 months ago. And it was like $25. It was like this long. It was like a mini hot dog size, you know, because Pat, you were talking about colonial times. My soon-to-be ex-wife gave me years ago a membership to Ancestry.com. My father went to his grave thinking we were Dutch. Turns out we were English, and we were among the first people here. I found out that my illiterate redneck grandparents and great grandparents, who were dirt farmers, and I mean they planted dirt, you know, because they wanted to grow dirt. They were so rednecked in the Civil War they fought for the West, you know. Turns out we come from English aristocracy.
Wow!
And
so why'd you leave,
Sir Thomas Howe in 15 something? I've got a photograph of a painting of him back in the 1500s.
Wow.
Never knew this until I got on Ancestry.com, which I'm not affiliated with or anything. But his daughter, granddaughter, moved to British America back before it was even called, you know, anything else, before it was called the colonies of the United States, and was hanged as a witch. I told Mark this before.
She didn't float.
No, it wasn't that. It was they lived in a place called Ipswich, Massachusetts, back when Massachusetts was Maine, and you know, all those
all
places
together.
all together. They had, turns out, I read, because there was an official apology that you can find online, the town of Ipswich, and they had been feuding with the neighbors, and the neighbor's little girl suddenly died, and they said witchcraft, and they didn't burn her, they hanged her as a witch. Wow. And then like, you know, 50 years later or something, you know, medical science had advanced enough to where they said, okay, this kid probably had a burst appendix or something. But yeah, so
that's terrible.
It's harsh.
Well, Steve, as somebody who could trace 90% of their genetic material back to Ireland, I would appreciate if you and your people could get your foot off my neck, because,
dude, I think
you've been repressing us way too long, brother.
Well, Pat, I've got some news for you. I found another ancestor who moved here in the 1800s from Ireland, and his name was Logan. I have an ancestor named James Logan. That's right, Wolverine.
Wow,
is one of my ancestors, and my father was born in Logan Store Township. So he was born in a township that he didn't even know was founded by one of his family members.
That is pretty darn interesting.
I did the ancestry DNA test, so I told all my relatives, you know, if you've ever murdered anyone, watch out, because they're coming for you, because they've been catching people that have been, you know, committed murders through, you know, DNA searches. And also, right. The other thing that's been happening is people are finding a lot of half brothers and half sisters out there they never knew they had before, thanks to DNA.
Yeah, that's true. If I were to give you anybody advice, I would say, you know, do the DNA if you want, but the what do you call it, the lineage stuff, the other branch is more interesting. Oh, by the way, you guys don't know what Clobby looks like, so this won't be funny to you. I found a picture of a Mexican politician asleep at his desk, and he looks just exactly like Clobby. But
actually, we've seen Clobberin before. He showed us his pictures where he sat on the chair of the Enterprise, right, Mark, and his khakis.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. He's had a few pictures up. Yeah.
This is my ancestor in England from the 1500s, Sir Thomas Howe.
What a handsome man.
So thank you. So if I were you, I would say look this stuff up, because I thought my family tree would go back 2 or 3 generations and then would end because they couldn't read or write. I mean, my family is really redneck.
There's a commercial out now that says it's this advanced test that you can take that goes back 50 generations.
But I'm talking about doing the lineage where you put in like your father's name, where he was born.
Yeah, it traces it back. Yeah, I've done it.
And because it'll say, hey, we think we have found, your 10th great grandfather, or I found out I'm German, which I never knew. Italian I know because my mother was second generation. But you don't know what you'll find out. I mean, I had an ancestor who was a colonel in the Revolutionary War. I have an Ebenezer and an Ichabod.
Wow. With his head.
I have ancestors that fought in the Civil War. One was an ambulance driver for the North, and one was an ambulance driver for the South. So I would say, I found out I'm Irish too, as well as other things. So
I could tell you
the ancestry thing and find, because I found drawings of ancestors from the 1800s. I found a petition from one of my ancestors to be included. That he's claiming that he's a member of Daniel Boone's family, and I'm distantly related to the Roosevelts. So
Steve is now officially the only white guy ever on YouTube to not claim that he was part Native American. So good for you, Steve, because every white person I've ever met has been part Choctaw or Navajo. Yeah, ever noticed too? It's never a lost tribe. It's always like, my uncle, my great uncle was Sitting Bull.
They had high cheekbones. Yeah,
I would have said I would have said Arapaho or Paiute or something less.
Right.
But everybody, because of that song, says Cherokee. Guess what I found, Pat?
What's that?
One of my ancestors in the 1800s applied to be recognized as an official member of the Cherokee Nation.
No kidding.
And you say only white guy? Yes, I have blonde hair and blue eyes. My great grandmother. No, let's see. No, my great grandmother. My great grandmother apparently always said that she was either part black or part Indian. I guess the story always changed. I got her picture on the phone too. Guess what? I believe it. She does not look 100% white at all. So I'm a little bit of everything.
Probably was, yeah. Here's the darkest one ever, guys. My first principal found his family in Germany. He was a war baby. He was born in 1943, and he was sent to America. A GI adopted him over there, brought him, raised him up. He was raised from where? From Germany. He was a German war baby, born in 1946.
Okay.
So his dad brought him home, raised him as Irish and everything. He knew he's adopted.
Right.
He had 2 natural-born sisters. So when he was about 50 years old, he decided he was going to find his family in Germany. So he looked them up and everything, and went to go visit him. And he was just 6'4", still alive, but 6'4", piercing blue eyes. This gray mane that used to be all black and everything. And he talked to his family, and his mom, and she was very loving, and she passed away about a year after he found him and everything. So when he got back home, he was like, I'm going to do the old, that was like when Ancestry first started getting really big and all right, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he took the test and everything, and his genetic background came back as, are you ready for this, guys? Sure, he was about half German and everything, which he expected, but there was a significant amount of his DNA that was Russian.
Oh, wow.
So does anybody know what that means?
Well, mother was probably raped or raped.
Yeah, that means his mom was in the wrong part of Germany when Germany got overrun by the Allies and everything. Yeah, and he was probably a product of a war crime. That's exactly right. And
that's horrible.
He I think smartly decided to not share that with his side of the family. He kind of told a few of us that he was close friends with at work. He was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I said, I don't think that would help your family and your poor birth mom out at all if that ever came up. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't talked to him in about 10 years, but and she passed away, but I'm pretty positive he never shared that with his family, because what would the point be? That doesn't do anybody any good. You know what I mean? So, but that was you never think of that.
Say hi quick to Dad Man, who I guess he's, are
Man.
you at Disney? He's in the park.
Oh, I guess that's right. Dad Man's doing the park.
Disney World, Universal, or stop and eat dinner at 12:30 a.m. What are you, a hobbit?
That's third dinner.
That's third dinner. I love that.
They were busy.
Yeah.
They were having a
Hope
good time.
The stream has been great.
Well, you know, Mark, I think is this true, Dad, man? If you could still hear us, aren't they going like 24 hours a day this weekend because of the 50th?
I get maybe.
It's some kind of ridiculous thing that they're doing. Right.
Her stream tonight. She was in Epcot with Culture Casino. They had a really good stream, streaming from the park and showing a new light show that no one seemed to like. But there is a kind of a magic about Disney. But yes, I don't know if Dad Man's there yet. So Dad Man, bacon. That'll get you.
I've never been to Disneyland. I think I am probably the world's only professional animator for more than 20 years. Never been to Disneyland.
I've never been to Disneyland either. I've been to Disney World a few times. I've never been to Disneyland.
I sort of went to Disney World, but it was on New Year's Day and almost everything was closed. They still had some of the rides and stuff, but yeah. So.
Mark, I'm assuming Dad brought y'all to Disney World and not Disneyland, right?
Yeah, Disneyland was too far. Yeah, we had to sit in the back of a van without air conditioning and windows and ride down to Disney for 20 hours with the sister who's puking. I
like Mark's hard luck stories from when he was a kid. You know, his dad's an immigrant, and he makes sure these kids. He starts a business. He makes sure Disney World, but you guys don't understand. When we went to Disney World, we had to eat bologna sandwiches in the back of.
Well, that's why I was posting on Lorena's show tonight. Mom loved to save money. God bless her. You know, you have your own business, so you got to save money, right? So let me see if I can find this picture without. What happened was, I think this is when we were teenagers, like the third or fourth time we went. So my dad loved Disney and grew up. He loved the engineering side of Disney and the Imagineers and all the technical stuff, and plus as a kid too, Disney was like their superhero. You know, Mickey Mouse, and from when he was born, that was it. That was their MCU basically, and of course Marvel. Disney bought Marvel. But what was crazy was
and everything else.
My mom would love it. So one story was we were in Disney, and she's the typical time mom's like, "Can't we bring a bag lunch?" We're like, you can't bring a bag lunch to Disney. It's like 90 degrees, 100 degrees. You can't have a cooler,
Your bologna sandwich will go bad.
Your bologna sandwich is gonna kill you. And then so we go into like one place at Disney, and she's like, "It's too expensive in here for lunch." Like, so then we go to walk like another 10 minutes the other place. This next place, like, it's too expensive in here. They're not staying in here. Then we go to like another place. She's like, it's too expensive. Then we're by the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular. And she's like, this is too expensive. We're like 12, 13, 14. My sister, I think my dad and I were all like, we're eating in this restaurant. You can join us if you want. If not, you can sit outside. Like,
God, Mark, it's a good thing you never brought Ma to Epcot. She would have had a stroke right there.
Well, she did, and then this is the story. Let's see if I can. I'll put this on the other screen. I should tweet this picture out.
My tightwad friend always eats fish and chips at Epcot. That's his thing. I'm pretty sure that's still the cheapest dish there.
So
they're also pretty good, but.
So what we're doing was we're in Epcot, right? And I'm the Boy Scout, right? So I got rain gear. I have a little backpack or whatever. So we got just a red shirt. Hell, just a red shirt.
Red shirt.
Red shirt. And I got my backpack with my rain gear, and it's starts to pouring rain. And Jackie and Laura are like, Mom, can we buy ponchos? They're too expensive. They're $5. They're $5 or whatever. The ponchos.
You kids just die of exposure.
I mean, it was ridiculous for what it was, right? Like, it's too expensive. It's like they're getting soaked. She's like, finally, you can buy one and you can share it. So here's the picture is worth. So there's my sisters at Disney World. She's crying. She's so, like, totally. I mean, they got totally, Florida rain.
Totally, wait, these are both your sisters?
Yeah, it's both my sisters. So this is this, in probably the 80s, I think, or. I don't know when this picture was, but so they had to share the poncho. They couldn't have two ponchos. So Culture Casino was telling me tonight, like, oh, you just go find the janitor cart and then you steal some garbage bags. And like, yeah, I know that, but it was fun watching them get.
I'm sorry that
the tip culture, but yeah, it was fun watching them get soaked. Yeah.
If they see this stream, see that you're I mean, pretty girls, but I mean, they're still going to kick your butt. I mean,
yeah, well, I weigh more than them.
The one on the screen right, without the baseball cap, looks really unhappy.
Jackie's
one's really smiling, the other one's miserable.
Yeah, because Jackie didn't have the hat at least, so Laura at least had a hat, but she got totally.
She looks so happy.
Well, her flock of
Jackie's much younger too. She's 10 years younger than me, so she was, the baby, right? Yeah.
Her flock of seagulls' hair fell down too.
Yeah, that's the 80s. Yeah,
it was really spiked up and looked good. A lot of product. It all came out.
Yeah. So that's just one of our fun, but those are the fun memories when you forget, it doesn't matter how much money you had or but
Mark, I hope now whenever you bring mom out like on Mother's Day or something, you like totally like bring her to the most expensive places and throw money around and like call her up and go, Mom, I just bought an action figure for $150. You know how much the kids can eat at college on $150?
You know how many ponchos you could buy with that?
That is too good. Mark, you talk about that kind of food. Steve, did you guys have
That's Steve's grandmother you're talking
This is
about,
my great grandmother that you can't really see in this because there's a lot of lights out on the thing.
I could see where you could think that she might have Native American in her, Steve. That's for sure.
That's the story, but apparently she kept changing the story. So,
Mark was talking about eating sandwiches at 90 degrees weather. Steve, did you have Mrs. Drake sandwiches in Baton Rouge?
Doesn't sound familiar.
Now, Mark, you talk about how you don't die.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just
as
on
a
the
kid.
red shirt. Well, that was my sister. So she's considered my clone, my female clone. We joke we're very similar. So thought the one on the right
was Mark. Yeah. Did you catch that, Steve? Your red shirt thought that was Mark. He thought Mark had the flock of seagulls' hair. No, Mark just said he was a scout. He had a buzz cut for the time he was 3 until he was.
Mark still does have the flock. Take off the hat, Mark.
Yeah, I got much.
Why do you think he wears that hat?
Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah. I don't have
Mark, when you were a teenager, did you walk around with a canteen on your neck and like?
Yeah, the canteen,
canteen boy,
metal canteens. Yeah,
do you remember Canteen Boy? Was that offensive to you?
That was offensive. Yeah. That was.
But
offensive,
Adam Sandler said in an interview one time, he's like, "I never said that was a Boy Scout." It was like people are like, "Yeah, but come on, dude, what was he? An adventure scout? Yeah, what was he? A campfire girl? If he was." Yeah. But Mrs. Drake sandwiches, y'all, in New Orleans. Now, keep in mind, this is New Orleans, and these sandwiches had been around since the 1950s. But you would walk into
sandwiches in the country or in New Orleans.
Well, not these sandwiches, Steve. These are the sandwiches. That's what I'm saying. How did we not die, right? Because you could walk into a convenience store or a hardware store, and what these were ham and cheese, bologna, tuna salad, seafood salad sandwiches that were wrapped in.
Let me just say bye to Dad, man. He's got to go. Dad,
have fun, Dad, man.
And keep spending lots of money, and if you ever end up with leftover swag, I'll take it because I don't have enough Disney stuff yet.
For his sub basement, he's got to fill his sub basement up with stuff.
I had a Goofy for me, Dad, man.
Yeah, you parked in Goofy 11. Remember?
Goofy 11.
He tweets that ad so people can help us find it. But there were these sandwiches wrapped in cellophane, and you could buy them at like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. It's like, how do we not die from that? It was mayonnaise and mustard and Steamboat Willie.
Now that the ones that were cut in a triangle.
Yes, that was them. Yeah, right. Mrs. Drake. It was
those things had no expiration date.
Nope.
Well, you had what was the canned stuff? It wasn't Spam, but it was like devil.
Oh, potted meat.
Potted meat. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. What we called it was like devil. What was it? It was like
deviled ham.
Deviled ham, but there was also something like deviled. It was like almost like Spam. Oh, and one of the guys in the Partridge Family did the commercial.
Vienna sausages. And by the kid in the Partridge Family, he means Danny Partridge. He means Danny Bonaduce.
Yeah. Danny Bonaduce.
Danny Bonaduce spread. Wow.
Deviled ham spread.
The world's only Italian with red hair and freckles.
Yeah.
There we go.
Danny Bonaduce.
This is when you were living. I mean, when you had
Mark,
this.
Danny Bonaduce used to have a radio show where you were deviled ham.
That's right. Yeah. See this stuff.
Underworld.
Underwood. That was remember Underwood. Yeah,
Underwood. Yeah,
Underwood. Yeah.
I used to love that when I was a kid. Now I can't stand it.
Oh, it's gross, man. You used to eat that, Mark?
No, but when mom would get, you didn't have a choice, right? I mean, but it's like, you don't get tuna fish today. You're getting deviled ham. It's like you're moving up in the world.
You only get tuna fish on Fridays, Catholic.
Yeah. Or you got when you got raviolis. I mean, that was a big in your thermos. That was a big day too when you got those.
Not SpaghettiOs with meatballs.
Or SpaghettiOs. Yeah, that was big stuff. Yeah.
Pat, have you ever lived away from New Orleans or away from Louisiana?
Yeah, I went to grad school in Indiana for a year.
Oh, okay. Because I never really ate a lot of Cajun food when I was there.
Or Soylent Green.
Well, no. Oh, the Soylent Green in New Orleans is the best. No, but like I didn't have a lot of gumbo and jambalaya. I was always eating healthy, so I was eating a lot of salads and stuff. I lived in Louisiana. Now I would kill for some good, jambalaya, or gumbo, or I'd even eat sauce piquant.
Right.
Do you like po' boys? I'm not saying it right, I'm sure, but
no, po' boys, right? Po' boys, right?
Yeah.
Steve was the one that one time in chat said, "Oh, you have to move away from home. You'll find out everybody thinks their hometown food's the best in the world." And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. I've been to other towns, and I think their food's all because, dude, I was in Evansville, Indiana. There was good barbecue. I take that back. But who's going to eat barbecue every day? But yeah, in Evansville. But Steve's like, dude, you're from New Orleans. I'm obviously not talking to you. Okay, knock it off. I'm talking to people who leave Gary, Indiana, and they go to San Diego and eat seafood. That's what I'm.
Punk, well, I put something like leftover swag in a bowl to eat. So far, so good.
Leftover swag.
My family got liverwurst bread. Yeah. Have anyone ever had head cheese?
Yes, head cheese is huge down here. It's where you boil the head of a hog, Steve, and all the meat that comes out, you put it in with a jelly.
Why do you think I haven't
gross.
I know how it's made. That's why I've never had it. If you hear the story before you taste it, you're never going to do it.
But that was something the Italians would have too up here. So we'd have head cheese. Yep.
Hey, careful, paisano.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You are part Italian, aren't you?
Yeah. Some Italian and Swiss. Almost 80%. I did the DNA stuff. It said 80%. But who
Mark, what awful food did your father eat that was Swiss?
Awful.
No, yeah, where they're I would think it's either unseasoned or it would be gross sausages.
The only thing that would really, snails or escargot,
right?
That's or you'd have sweetbread, which would be more of a French dish,
right?
Or frog's legs, but that was more in France, not Switzerland. But
all these things are common in New Orleans and Pat.
Yeah. So, but we had well, there's actually people of my last name down there that I looked up because there's no one up this way can pronounce my last name. So that's why it's, Mark with the C or Mark D with the C, it's the joke is, everyone spells your name wrong. So,
Mark, there's actually a really big, actually there's a lot of every population in New Orleans, but there's a lot of Swedes and a lot of Swiss in New Orleans. As a matter of fact, the old Norwegian, Seafarers Guild is down here. And they have there have been people from New Orleans that were actually able to trace their lineage back and be part of the Swiss Guard in the Vatican.
Oh, yeah, wow. I was trying to use Ancestry, but Ancestry is a dead end for Switzerland, so I have to go there and look the names up. Yeah, I was really surprised because I did the international. The Italian side, I was able to trace back to the 1500s, and one of my cousins did a ton of work on our genealogy, and looked it up. But the Swiss side was a dead end. So but they have all the records in Switzerland, so you have to go there and go to the canton and look up. They have all the books, have all the registries of everything.
How old was your dad when he came over?
He was I think around 30 or 25. 30.
Oh, so did he have a machine gun in Switzerland before he came over?
Well, everyone had an assault rifle, a real assault rifle back then, or he had the pistol from he had the Sig 6 Hour. But of course, he was joking. He didn't bring it over, but he was joking. He's like, I probably could have brought it. No one would have checked. He came over.
Not back then.
Queen Elizabeth. It was the Queen Elizabeth. He came over and he said it was the worst food he ever ate in his life or didn't eat. Because he had a choice of plane or a boat with the company. So I'll take the boat because it's longer and I'll get a little vacation. And then they hit this big storm and they were stuck underneath. and he said the food was just killing him. So so it wasn't such a good.
Did you know that's what the Swiss did, Steve?
Inflicting everyone with 70s fondue parties. Yeah. So yeah. But fondue was that was a huge thing in the 70s. So,
I never make fondue jokes because they're just too cheesy.
Yeah. Or raclette. You have raclette. That's actually you got to get by raclette cheese, but that's a really fun.
Well, Mark, is it okay if I tell Steve in the chat about what you've been invited to do and what's coming up a week from tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah. No,
that's and Mark, if you want to pull up some stills, that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But Steve, I think you might enjoy this. A bunch of different channels are getting together. It was the brainchild of Mexican Iron Man, myself, 24/7 Fusion Media and stuff. It's going to be a 10-night over the next, not this Monday and Friday coming up, but the 14th to the 18th, and then, well, the week starting the 14th, over 2 weeks, Monday through Friday, we're doing a 20th anniversary review of all the Band of Brother episodes from the Band of Brothers miniseries on HBO. It came out 20 years ago this month. I think it was the last Sunday in September, most of October, and a little bit of November. Right after 9/11, they came out. Well, Steve, that's why we're telling you now, so you got time to go see it, man. Because I think you would enjoy it.
Is it streaming somewhere?
I'm sure on HBO it is.
Okay.
Do you have HBO?
I do not.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
I've got Hulu. I've got Amazon.
Okay.
And Netflix.
Well, this is what you do, Steve. Do you have Twitter?
No, I don't.
No, he does not have the Twitters.
Oh, Mark, I'm trying to figure out how Steve could accidentally stumble upon somebody's HBO
passcode. Well, we'll talk about that off the air.
Okay, fair enough. Don't do that. That's not good, boys and girls. We do not approve of that.
Support the artists and
that's right.
Subscribe Steve, like I do to HBO. Actually, I own them on Blu-ray and DVD. So
that's right, because Mark's a huge fan, Steve. So actually, Mark's been invited to be a guest on one of the stream nights. You will know probably by tomorrow, Mark, which one you're going to be on if you're on the first week, which could happen. But if anybody has seen the series, good, sort of Poopus, I'm not surprised. I would assume that you would like that. You seem to be a military history guy. But I would say even if you don't love military history, Mark, would you say this is fair? Definitely one of the best miniseries ever made, right? Even if you're not a war person, yeah.
No, it's up there, yeah. And you asked me if I knew about the show, and I said, well, I always eat lots of spaghetti before I go running, just as an.
So, and we get that because that's an episode one, right?
I watched it, yeah.
Which is a real event that did happen. If you talk to historians about, and of course, some people will know this too. The reason that is so dear to everyone's heart in the New Orleans area is because the author of the book Band of Brothers, which became the miniseries, was by a gentleman who was a historian down here in New Orleans, and got into the history of it because the Higgins boats, which were the landing crafts that you saw in things like
Private
Ryan, yes, and stuff like that. Yeah. Those were actually made down here in New Orleans and tested in Lake Pontchartrain and stuff, and that's why the World War II Museum is where it is, because that's where those boats were made at one time here in New Orleans. So
invented in New Orleans.
Yes, innovated, and made down here. And Stephen Ambrose was the gentleman's name. He was the historian at UNO, and he wrote the book, and he was very involved in this miniseries, and that's why it's so near and dear to many of our hearts down here. And it's going to be fun. And, of course, those of you who, and I think I've seen just about all of you in the chat at one time or another. Oh, yes, Just Another Red Shirt's going to be involved in it, too.
Was Wake Down involved, or I guess Red Shirt saying Wake Down was going to do this, or is that separately, or was that just?
Can we get both? I'll be happy to talk. I don't want to steal Wake Down's thunder, please.
Yeah, no, but I was wondering.
I think. I'm saying that Just Another Red Shirt. I don't want to step on Wake Down's toes, but also I think there's plenty of room for a lot of
I just was
dedication stuff. But if Wake Down wants to be involved, I still have plenty of third slots. I don't know if we have enough room to make another channel for somebody to do one, because the very first episode is going to be on Loki's channel on the 14th. Loki's Mornings of Mischief is going to do with Dave Bob, myself as the moderator, episode 1, Kahari, and a very special guest who, I'm not being snarky when I say this, I cannot announce yet, but it's either going to be somebody who is historically significant or somebody who you guys will be like, oh, wow, this is a guy that knows a lot about Hollywood and war history. But I actually had to hunt Red Shirt down. Red Shirt's the only guy that's on in the DM family chat on Twitter, because he has denounced Twitter, and I don't blame him. Red Shirt, if I didn't do YouTube stuff, I would not have Twitter either. I didn't have it before, and I wouldn't have it unless it was for this. But I had to hunt Red Shirt down to invite him to be part of an episode. So he gets all of his information through email. And I think it'll be interesting. And Red Shirt, if you will email me the best way to get a hold of Wakedown, I will make sure Wakedown's involved on our end, and I'll make sure I'll let them know what our dates are, and hopefully we won't be stepping on each other's feet on that. But like I said, I think everybody should do a tribute to the men of Easy Company and Band of Brothers and the guys who brought us the miniseries, because I think it's probably one of the best things ever that I've seen with veterans. And if you've seen the show, you'll know what I'm talking about. They integrated the actual members of Easy Company that were still alive, and those veterans told their stories, and it was Stephen Ambrose's book was based on those stories, and the miniseries is based on those stories. So it really does honor the men of World War II, as well as the actors and the people in Hollywood who I think did a wonderful job. Probably the most apolitical thing I've seen come out of Hollywood too. There was no politicking about it. It seems like they were very involved and treated these guys well. So be watching out for that on Twitter. And like I said, the 14th, Monday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, on Loki's channel, he'll have the first episode. And it's going to be over 10 nights, and it's going to be on different people's channels. Poly on Latino Slant will have it. Echo Base is doing one. 24/7's doing one. Google 13's doing an episode. Foulball Productions, Matt, who's the guy that's not always in our same sphere if you're a Loki Purple Valkyrie person. Mexican Iron Man's definitely behind the scenes. Clobberin may or may not sit in on an episode. He's not as familiar with the series, but he has been helping me on the technical side. And so, yeah, I mean,
it's on Amazon now, or
is it?
It's
okay.
on Amazon and Hulu. Was just saying, yep.
Cool. I'll try and check it out. My time is really.
I hear you.
Yeah, I mean all the time between my daughter and my job. You know.
I'm sure, brother. Yeah, anybody's got the father of a young one. Yeah, no doubt about it. So
yeah, she's at the point now where she's crawling and stuff, so I can't turn my back on her for a second.
Yeah, where'd Maddie go? Yeah, she crawled outside. Yeah, I was watching Band of Brothers for a YouTube show. That's my ex. Yeah.
My babysitter disappeared 2 weeks ago, and so now when I have Maddie, I'm working, and I'm working. I work from home, and all of a sudden my computer says shutting down. I look over. Maddie saw the flashing lights and decided to push the button, and she keeps doing it.
Oh God,
shutting me down while I'm working. So, but gentlemen, on this note, I am going to have to call it a night because I do have to pick her up early in the morning.
Yep.
So knowing Mark, we probably won't be that far behind you, Steve.
Yeah, I think it's a good time. Yeah, it's a good time.
You guys are 2 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, but it's still almost 1 o'clock in the morning here. So
actually, Mark's 3 hours ahead of you, brother. It's like it's
That's
almost
right. Yeah,
it's freaking Monday where Mark is already. So
it's Monday. Yep, they got late early.
Mark, show that 10. That's the famous Band of Brothers 10 for like until they put it on Blu-ray. That was how you got it if you ordered it off of Amazon. It's
I have that. I have that. Yeah.
You know, and what's the Blu-ray one look like? Sorry, Night Steve. Go ahead and go, buddy.
Well, I was going to say, but before I go, for you people who are interested in this stuff, and also New Orleans, definitely check out the World War II Museum. You need, I would say, a minimum of 5 hours probably to check it out, or 4 hours.
I've known people that have done it over 2 days, and they've done the European theater, on one day, and they've done the Pacific theater the second day. Yes, that's not.
the things that you like, you'll see the dog tags and the helmet and the shaving kit of some guy that like single-handedly fought off a whole German, or what's the name of the guy that wrote Kurt Vonnegut? Kurt Vonnegut served in World War II. So
he was Kurt Vonnegut was in Dresden during the bombing of Dresden, which is why he had kind of a more dim view of World War II. He was a guy that was captured during the Battle of the Bulge and got in the middle of that bombing. So I'm sure his view was a little bit more. And that's the Blu-ray one. That is nice looking.
So so let's say goodnight to everyone. Yeah, that's a good note to end it on. And check out the Twitterverse for those updates and those streams. And want to say goodnight to the great Wrench Eric K. We had Snorter Poopus, Hungry Boy. Who else was here? Cavatino. Polly's Minion was here. Dadman stopped in.
Red Shirt.
Let's see who else am I?
Matthew
Pounder. Yep, Red Shirt was here. I'm just scrolling back to the chat because I have a bad memory. Let's see. Am I missing anyone, guys? Of course, thank you to Steve Mitchum and Pat S for being
and if you missed Clobberin Times and Mexican Iron Man, I'm sure they're probably still on Doomcock.
Yeah, I got Doomcock on the iPad with no sound on. And
now tonight is a safe bet that since Dadman is in Florida, that Mark probably will not have a Fortnite event. But if you ever wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom or get a glass of water, always turn on the YouTube because Arwen Avalon and Mark might be playing Fortnite. Mark, I have one question for you before we go. Is the Sunday afternoon show deceased or on hiatus at this point, or
which Sunday show? Oh, well, that's Pop Culture Archivist. I think it was a hiatus, and I assume it's coming back for October. So
I know. Jed said he's doing a new thing too, right? So he's got that.
He's doing a new channel. He's been doing that, and then I started. Well, I didn't start. Clobberin Time started a new show on Thursday night with Racquel and I. So I'm going to be the first engineer. And she's the first officer. So we're doing a Thursday night show, usually at 9 or 10 Eastern. So that's
doesn't that cut into Clobberin's other shows that he has to go do?
Well, Global Geek Gang is Thursday afternoon.
Right.
So then if you haven't had enough of us by then.
No, Mark, I meant his guest hosting responsibilities, where he has to go and be on a panel where he's on a panel with 4 people and there's one person watching it. And then he's on a panel where there's 3,000 people watching it. Mike from Clobberin Times. No stream too big, no stream too small.
Yep. So check out that's gonna be a new show, and then Saturday Night Star Trek, obviously.
Awesome.
It's awesome to hang out with you guys and Steve.
Absolutely.
Maddie's daddy, we have a blast, and Pat S, we have a blast on that one. So
I'm glad I jumped on.
Tuesday night I'll be on. Tomorrow night now I'll be on Toxic Tuesday with Nick Weiser and
what movie?
Mariachi is going to Desperado, right? Yep.
Yeah, I would actually say that's more of a classic than a B movie, but it is definitely toxic.
Well, it's toxic,
masculinity for sure. That is muy macho, sir. Muy macho.
Yeah, so our case, we don't have enough hours in the day. Oh, and then Hungry Boy, take care. I think I mentioned Hungry Boy. So,
Eric K, I laugh because, there were times, Mark, where people would actually go, well, let's try not to stream against each other. I'll try to do.
Yeah.
But now you'd have to stream, even if you were streaming at 2 in the morning.
I'm taking a few people away from Doomcock, right? He won't mind.
Yeah. I don't think that 2.5 is going to hurt you too much, but
but it's all fun. I love hanging out with you guys, and it's a good, good thing to do. And then as you get later, and this is my clip. I always love to play when your brain's
smash the computer's inoperative.
When your brain's not, you got stream brain, so that's my line. But it's been great.
I was actually going to just jump on for a few minutes tonight.
Yeah, see what happened.
I try to get out, and they keep pulling me back in.
So Steve, I got you beat. This is what I said in my mind. I'll jump on, and then Steve's on. I'm like, great. Now that Steve's on, as soon as somebody else jumps on, I'll hop off. Well, I don't know where all these people are, Mark, but they didn't show up tonight. I guess they're all watching. Who's playing tonight? Is it a big Saturday night game?
Well, it is, isn't it? There's a big sports ball game with the Brady bunch and
frickin' Brady's back and
the Patriots,
and the Pats. What's the score, Mark?
I call them the Deflatriots.
Yeah, the Patriots lost. Yep, Tampa Bay. The Pirates won. Yep.
What a shock! The Patriots last year I love the joke. If you've ever seen the guy that does he does like fake commercials and stuff, and he does the Boston accent and everything.
Yeah.
And he did the Subway commercials where it's he keeps running into Belichick and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you here looking for a new quarterback?" Because the guy that makes the subs, he's only got 3 less touchdowns this season than the Cam Newton. Which
Cam
is
Newton's gone,
the joke was right for the longest time. Cam Newton only had 3 touchdowns as the quarterback of the Pats.
Well, hey, look, the New York Giants won today. They managed not to lose at the last second, so
that's right against a phenomenal team in a rebuilding year. That's exactly right.
So Clobberin Times gotta tease him about that one. I don't think he cares as much anymore though yet.
I was gonna say I don't watch the games anymore, but I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely look and see what the scores are, and I don't want to see the Saints lose because I still have a lot of friends and family that go to the games. Yeah. But I'm not nearly as into it as there's no way. I mean, Sunday used to be you wouldn't see me. I would start watching pre-shows at 7 in the morning, and I'd definitely be watching the Sunday night game and stuff.
All right. Well, on that note, the Giants won. All is well. All is good in the world, maybe for a few days. And I'm not as crazy about it as I used to be either. But thank you to Maddie's daddy. Thank you to Pat S. Thank you to everyone.
Yes, sir.
And,
night, everybody.
Toxic Tuesday tomorrow night, and let's play this cool outro.